The security guard looked at the Bible in my arms before he looked at me. That was the first thing I noticed. Not my blue dress, not the little gold pin Samuel had given me on our 30th anniversary, not the fact that I was standing outside my only son's wedding with my invitation folded inside my purse. He looked at the Bible as if that was the guest he had been told to expect. "Mrs. Mercer?" he asked. "Yes, I'm Adam's mother." His face changed, only slightly, but I had spent 42 years reading faces across kitchen tables. "One moment, ma'am." He stepped back into the security booth and checked a clipboard. Then he called someone. Behind him, the estate's glass doors opened and closed as people carried flowers inside. I could hear a string quartet warming up somewhere beyond the building. The guard returned, holding a cream envelope with my name printed on it. "I've been instructed to receive the item," he said. "The item?" He nodded toward the Bible. "And then you'll show me where to go?" His eyes dropped to the envelope. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Mercer. My instructions say not to admit you to the property." For a second, the only thing I could feel was the weight of the Bible. It was heavier than I remembered, though I had carried it from Samuel's study to my car less than an hour earlier. There must be a mistake. I can call the coordinator again. I don't need the coordinator. My son is getting married. The guard held out the envelope. Inside was a card printed with a link to the ceremony live stream. I looked through the glass doors and saw Adam at the far end of the hall in his dark suit, talking to someone I couldn't see. He turned his head. He saw me. And he did not come outside. 36 hours earlier, I had been standing in my kitchen trying to fit 24 croissants into a freezer that believed 18 was a personal boundary. If you push them any harder, they're going to become one giant French loaf, my sister Nora said. They'll separate when they thaw. They'll need counseling when they thaw. Nora was sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee and the expression of a woman who had come to help, but had no intention of standing up unless the house caught fire. I shoved the freezer drawer closed with my hip. "You could make room." I could. But then I'd miss watching you argue with an appliance. Nora was 4 years younger than me and had enjoyed those 4 years far more than I had. She wore silver hoops, bright lipstick before noon, and shoes that looked painful on purpose. I had worn the same pearl earrings to every formal event since 1998. The morning after wedding brunch had grown from 12 people to 26 without anyone officially asking me. Adam had mentioned that a few relatives might stop by. Paige had later texted a list. Then Paige's Aunt Denise had added 4 cousins and a man named Brent, whose relationship to the family remained unclear. I had made 2 breakfast casseroles, a bowl of fruit large enough to qualify as landscaping, and Samuel's cinnamon coffee cake. The croissants were because Paige liked them. "You know," Nora said, "hotels serve breakfast now. It's one of the advances we've made as a society. It's Adam's wedding. Yes, I received the 17 emails. You complain, but you'll be here Sunday eating. I'll be here Sunday observing. Whether I eat depends on whether Brent is real." I laughed despite myself and sat across from her. On the table between us was a stack of place cards I had offered to correct after Paige's calligrapher misspelled 3 surnames. I had good handwriting and a poor instinct for saying no to useful work. Nora picked up the card that read, "Dr. and Mrs. Franklin Lowe." Didn't the Lowes divorce? 6 years ago. So this seating plan has a sense of humor. I already texted Paige. What did she say? Thumbs up? That isn't an answer. It's an acknowledgement. A hostage, blinking twice, is an acknowledgement. I reached for the card, but Nora kept it. Ruth. Her voice had changed. That was the trouble with sisters. They could joke for 40 minutes and then say your name once like they had been gathering evidence. "What? Are you enjoying any of this?" "Of course I am. You've spent 3 months doing errands for a wedding where you don't know where you're sitting. I'm the groom's mother. I know where I'm sitting." "Where?" "Near the front." She waited. I hated when Nora waited. It made silence feel like a form I had forgotten to complete. Adam said Paige was finalizing the arrangements. "The wedding is tomorrow. That's fairly final." She set the place card down. I'm not trying to stir things up. You were born stirring things up. The doctor slapped you and you asked to speak to his supervisor. That story improves every year. My phone buzzed against the table. Paige's name appeared on the screen. Nora lifted both eyebrows. Speak of the wedding coordinator. Be nice. I haven't said anything. Your eyebrows have. I answered. Hi, Paige. Ruth, I'm so sorry to bother you. Paige always began a favor as if I might be undergoing surgery. You're not bothering me. Did Adam leave his cufflinks at your house? The silver ones that belonged to Samuel? I glanced toward the hallway. They're in Samuel's desk. Adam asked me to keep them safe, so could you bring them to the rehearsal tonight? Of course. And the corrected place cards if you have them. They're almost finished. You're saving my life. There were people whose gratitude warmed you and people whose gratitude assigned you the next task. Paige could make those sound exactly alike. How are you doing? I asked. There was a brief pause, as if the question had not appeared on her schedule. I'm good. Fine. We had a small issue with the flowers, and the estate says the delivery window changed, and my mother is refusing to wear the wrap I bought her. I didn't know wraps could be refused. Apparently this one is insulting. What did it say to her? Paige laughed. A real laugh, quick and surprised. In moments like that, I could see why Adam loved her. She was not cold. She was a person who lived with every muscle tightened and occasionally forgot to hold the pose. Thank you, she said. For what? I needed that. You're allowed to enjoy tomorrow. I know. She said it the way people say they know they should drink more water. After we hung up, Nora watched me put the phone down. She likes you when she forgets not to, she said. That's unfair. To which one of you? I ignored her and carried the empty coffee cups to the sink. Samuel's study was at the back of the house, where the afternoon light turned everything the color of weak tea. 3 years after his death, the room still smelled faintly of cedar shavings and the peppermints he kept in the top drawer. His reading glasses rested on a stack of gardening magazines. I had moved them twice and put them back twice. The cufflinks were in the right-hand drawer inside a small wooden box Adam had made in a high school shop class. The hinges were crooked and the lid had never closed properly. Samuel had used it anyway. I opened it and found the cufflinks wrapped in a square of felt. You'd better not lose these, I said, though Adam was not there to hear me. The family Bible lay on the shelf above the desk, dark brown leather cracked at the spine, pages thin enough to show the shadows of words on the other side. My grandmother had owned it first. The family record began in her careful hand, continued in my mother's, then mine. I took it down and rested it on the desk. Samuel had written Adam's full name on the page for births. Adam James Mercer. 6 pounds, 11 ounces. Rain all morning. That last part was typical of Samuel. Weather mattered to him. When he recorded our wedding, he wrote, "Clear and too hot for wool." Under his father's death, he had written, "First frost." Under Samuel's name, I had written only the date. For months, I had gone back intending to add something. I never found words that did not look foolish beside the fact. Nora appeared in the doorway. "There it is," she said quietly. I touched the ribbon Samuel had used as a bookmark. Adam said he wants it someday. Someday is a dangerous word around family. It belongs with him eventually. Eventually is better. I closed the book. You make everything sound suspicious. No. I make suspicious things sound interesting. She came into the room and picked up Samuel's glasses. Did Adam ever decide how he's honoring Sam tomorrow? He's wearing the cufflinks. That's all. They're setting a photograph at the reception. Nora looked at the Bible, then at me. And you? What about me? How are they honoring the parent who's still alive? I took the glasses from her and returned them to the magazines. I'll be there. At the rehearsal that evening, the estate looked like something designed to make ordinary people stand straighter. White columns, clipped hedges, stone paths so clean I wondered whether birds had signed agreements. Paige moved through the lobby with a folder tucked under one arm and a pencil pushed into her hair. Her mother, Colleen, followed her carrying 3 shawls and the injured dignity of a woman whose first choice had been questioned. Adam was near the staircase with his best man, laughing about something. When he saw me, his whole face opened. "Mom!" He crossed the lobby and hugged me hard enough to wrinkle the place cards. "You look tired," I said. "You always say that. You're frequently tired." He grinned and kissed my cheek. For one easy second, he was simply my son. I handed him the wooden box, "Your father's cufflinks." His grin faded into something softer. He opened the lid, touched one with his thumb, and took a breath. I was afraid we'd lost these. We didn't lose them. I kept them. "I know." He looked at me. "You keep everything." It might have been gratitude. It might have been an observation. With Adam, the difference often depended on what he needed next. The coordinator called us into the ceremony room. Small white cards marked the seats for rehearsal. I found Paige's parents in the front row. Beside them were Colleen's sister and her husband. My name was not there. I checked the second row, then the third. Nora Mercer was seated in the 4th row beside 2 cousins from Ohio. My card was beside hers. I picked it up and carried it to Adam, who was standing near the altar. "Sweetheart," I said quietly, "I think there's been a mistake." He glanced at the card, then toward Paige. His shoulders tightened before she had even said a word. "Mom," he whispered, "please don't start something tonight." The words landed between us with the neatness of something he had practiced. I looked down at the place card in my hand. I asked about my seat. "I know, but Paige has been dealing with changes all day." I didn't ask Paige. His eyes moved past me. Paige was coming down the aisle, her folder pressed to her chest. The pencil had disappeared from her hair, leaving one strand loose against her cheek. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing," Adam said too quickly. I held up the card. "I thought the groom's mother usually sat in the front row." Paige looked at the card as if she had never seen it before. "We had to make some adjustments. Your aunt and uncle are in the front. Aunt Denise practically raised me. I'm not suggesting you move her. Then I'm not sure what you're asking." Adam rubbed the back of his neck. "Could we just find another chair?" "The coordinator said the front row should stay balanced for the photographs," Paige said. "If we add one on your side, it changes the whole layout." I looked at the rows. "What side is mine?" Neither of them answered. The room had not been divided into a bride's side and a groom's side. Paige had wanted a modern ceremony with everyone seated together. Only somehow, in the modern arrangement, every front row seat belonged to her family. "Ruth," Paige said, lowering her voice, "the 4th row isn't Siberia. No, Siberia has more legroom." Adam shut his eyes briefly. The joke had come out before I could stop it. Nora had that effect on me even when she was across the room pretending not to watch. Paige drew the folder tighter against herself. "This is exactly what I was afraid of." "What were you afraid of?" "That every decision would become a statement about how much we value you. I thought seats at a wedding were statements about where people sit." "Mom," Adam said. I turned to him. "Stop saying my name as if it's a fire alarm." The coordinator called from the altar that she needed everyone in position. A few heads turned toward us. Colleen stood in the front row holding all 3 shawls, her attention sharpened by the possibility of trouble that did not involve her. Paige took the place card from my hand. "If you want the 2nd row, I'll put you in the 2nd row." "I didn't ask for the 2nd row. You asked not to be in the 4th. I asked if there had been a mistake. Apparently there was." She walked 3 seats down and set my card behind her mother. There was already a card there for a woman named Marjorie. "What happens to Marjorie?" I asked. Paige turned. "Who?" Nora made a choking sound that she disguised as a cough. Adam stared at the ceiling. I retrieved my card before Marjorie could be displaced into the parking lot and carried it back to the 4th row. "It's fine," I said. It was the kind of fine women say when the alternative is expressing a complete thought in a room full of people who've already decided it will be inconvenient. The rehearsal began. We stood when instructed, sat when instructed, and watched Adam practice taking Paige's hands. The officiant reminded him twice to face his bride rather than the audience. "I'm not used to having an audience," Adam said. "That's why we rehearse," Paige replied. Everyone laughed. I did too. Adam looked handsome near the altar. There was more gray at his temples than Samuel had at 39, but the way he shifted his weight from one foot to the other was exactly the same. Samuel used to do that whenever he had to speak in church. I could almost hear him whispering, "If God wanted me up front, he wouldn't have made pews." For a moment, the seat did not matter. Then the coordinator explained the procession out. Paige's parents would follow the couple. Aunt Denise and her husband would go next. I waited for my name. "And then the remaining family can exit row by row," she finished. Nora leaned toward me. "We've been demoted from people to remaining family. Behave." I am. This is my indoor voice. The rehearsal dinner was held in a private room at a restaurant 10 minutes from the estate. The room had exposed brick, tiny candles, and chairs built for decorative people. Place cards waited at each setting. Adam and Paige sat in the center of the long table. Colleen and Paige's father sat across from them. Aunt Denise was beside Colleen. I was at the far end between Nora and Brent. Brent was real. He sold commercial roofing and spoke almost exclusively about drainage. I listened for 11 minutes before asking how he knew Paige. "I don't," he said. "I'm Denise's neighbor." Nora took a long drink of wine. Across the table, one of Adam's college friends asked whether I had recovered from the big storm the previous spring. "We didn't get much damage," I said. "Adam said a tree took out your fence, only one section. He helped me fix it." Nora cut into her salmon. Ruth held the boards while Adam took 2 business calls. I provided strategic support, Adam called from the middle of the table. "Your strategy was to marry someone with a better fence," I said. That earned a laugh, including from Paige. The tension eased for several minutes. Wine appeared, bread disappeared, and Colleen changed shawls twice. After dinner, Adam gave a short toast thanking everyone who had helped. He mentioned Paige's parents for their generosity, Aunt Denise for arranging the welcome bags, his best man for organizing the weekend, and the coordinator for keeping us all sane. I had written the addresses on those welcome bags after Aunt Denise's printer failed. I had also driven them to the hotel. I told myself gratitude was not a pie. Someone else receiving a slice did not leave me hungry. Then Adam raised his glass toward the whole room and said, "And everybody else who jumped in wherever we needed them." Nora's hand found mine beneath the table. She did not squeeze it. She merely put it there. When the dinner ended, I waited near the coat rack while Adam finished talking with his friends. Paige passed me carrying 2 gift bags. "Ruth, can I speak to you?" "Of course." She led me into the narrow hallway by the restrooms. The restaurant noise became a muffled hum behind the door. "I want tomorrow to go smoothly," she said. "So do I. I understand you're disappointed." "About the seating? About your role in general?" I looked at her. "What do you think I wanted my role to be?" "I don't know. That's the problem." She sounded exhausted rather than angry, which made it harder to be angry with her. "I wanted to watch my son get married. You are going to." "I thought I was. You know what I mean." "I'm not sure I do." Paige adjusted the handles of the gift bags until they matched. "Adam told me you were upset that we weren't doing more to honor Samuel." I felt something cold move through me. I never said that to Adam. "You talked about the cufflinks. I brought the cufflinks because you asked me to. He said you expected some kind of formal recognition. When did he say this?" Her eyes flicked toward the dining room. "That's not important. It's becoming important." The door opened. A woman came into the hallway, saw us, and murmured an apology before slipping into the restroom. Paige lowered her voice further. "I lost my grandfather 6 months ago. I'm not putting a memorial to him in the ceremony either. If we start doing tributes, the wedding becomes about everyone who isn't there. I didn't request a tribute. Then what was tonight about? A chair. It's never just a chair. That sounds like something people say after they take the chair. Adam came into the hallway with my coat over his arm. "There you are," he said. Paige gave a small laugh without humor. "Your mother thinks I took her chair. I did have one before you moved it." "Stop," Adam said. He did not say it loudly. He said it the way Samuel used to speak to the television when a game was getting away from him. Paige stared at him. "Excuse me, both of you. Please. It's late." "I'm not doing this tomorrow," Paige said. "I won't spend my wedding wondering whether she's about to object to something. I have not objected to your wedding. You've objected to everything around it." I waited for Adam to say, "That was not true." He held out my coat. "You should go home and rest, Mom." The dismissal was so gentle it almost worked. I put on my coat and found Nora by the front door. She took one look at my face and did not ask what had happened until we were in the parking lot. Even then, all she said was, "Your car or mine?" "Mine." "Good. You have heated seats." At home, I hung my blue dress on the bedroom door and laid out my pearl earrings. Nora followed me upstairs, carrying her shoes in one hand. "You can stay here tonight if you want," I said. "I was planning to." "You weren't invited, neither was Brent apparently, and he got salmon." She sat on the edge of my bed. "What did Paige say to you?" I smoothed the sleeve of the dress. "She thinks I'm going to disrupt the wedding." "By doing what? Replacing the vows with a seating chart?" "Adam told her I wanted a memorial for Samuel. Did you?" "No." Nora was quiet. I turned. "Don't." I didn't say anything. "You're about to. I'm considering several things." The phone rang before she chose one. Adam. I almost let it go to voicemail. Then I imagined him calling because the cufflinks were missing, or because Paige wanted 3 more people at brunch. "Hello? Mom, are you home?" "Yes. Can I ask you something?" Nora rolled her eyes and lay backward across the bed. Adam's voice softened. "Do you still have the family Bible?" I looked toward the hallway, toward the stairs and the dark room below. "Of course I do. Paige and I were talking after you left. We thought it might be nice to have it at the ceremony." I sat beside Nora. She turned her head to watch me. "What changed?" "Nothing changed. We were just thinking about Dad." "We?" A pause. I was. That sounded more like him. "I thought we could open it to the passage Dad read at my baptism," he said. "Remember? The one from Isaiah?" I remember. We'd put it on the table near the flowers. It would feel like he was there. All the sharp things I might have said became smaller. Adam had never spoken much about missing his father. He had handled Samuel's funeral by carrying chairs, checking food, and asking whether I had taken my medication. For 3 years, his grief had appeared only in practical clothes. "I think that would be lovely," I said. "Really?" "Yes. Thank you, Mom." Nora sat up and mouthed, "What?" I held up one finger. "I'll bring it with me tomorrow. Actually, could you bring it early? Around 2? The coordinator needs to place everything before guests arrive. The ceremony isn't until 4. I know. Use the side entrance near the security booth. They'll be expecting you." His voice was warm again, relieved. I wanted to remain inside that warmth. "I'll be there." After we hung up, I told Nora. She stared at me for several seconds. "He asks for a Bible 12 hours after lying to his fiancée about his mother," she said. "That boy has a sense of occasion. He's trying to include Samuel. He has a living parent available for inclusion." "Nora." "I'm not saying don't take it. I'm saying keep your purse on your shoulder." She slept in the guest room. In the morning, she left before 9 to get dressed at home. She offered to pick me up for the wedding, but I told her I needed to arrive early with the Bible. At 1:30, I put on the blue dress. I fastened Samuel's gold pin below my left shoulder and chose the pearls, then changed my mind and wore the earrings Adam had given me for my 60th birthday. In the study, I found the passage and wrapped Samuel's old ribbon around the page. I carried the Bible with both hands. At the estate, the guard handed me the cream envelope and told me I was not permitted inside. This time, when I saw Adam through the glass, I lifted my phone. His rang in his hand. He looked at the screen. Then he looked at me. He answered without moving closer. Mom. Did you know? Behind him, someone crossed the hall carrying a tray of champagne. Can we not do this right now? Did you know before I left home? He lowered his voice. Paige was worried after last night. That isn't what I asked. She's under a lot of pressure. Were you planning to tell me? I was going to call, but everything got crazy. I thought maybe if you brought the Bible, we could what? He looked toward the ceremony room. Just leave it with the guard, he said. Please. We'll sort the rest out later. I held the Bible tighter. You asked me to bring your father inside, Mom, but you knew I would have to stay out here. His face folded for half a second. Then the doors opened beside him and music spilled into the hall. Please don't make this harder, he said. I ended the call. The guard stepped forward and held out his hands for the Bible. I turned away from him, walked back to my car, and took my husband home. I put the Bible on the dining room table because I could not bring myself to return it to Samuel's study. The ribbon was still tied around the page Adam had requested. One end hung over the leather cover like a loose blue thread. I stood beside it in my wedding dress until the house made its usual sounds around me. The refrigerator humming, the clock over the mantel ticking too loudly, water shifting somewhere in the pipes. At the estate, people would be taking their seats. Nora would be looking over her shoulder. Adam would be standing at the altar checking the door whether he meant to or not. My phone rang. Nora. I let it ring twice before answering. Where are you? She whispered. At home. There was a pause followed by the sound of a door closing. I'm in the ladies' room, she said. Your seat is empty. Your name is gone. There's an easel where the Bible is supposed to be, but there's nothing on it except a ribbon. What happened? They wouldn't let me in. Who wouldn't? Security. The silence on her end changed shape. Ruth. Paige left instructions. What instructions? To accept the Bible and keep me outside. Nora said something that would have made our mother reach for soap. Did Adam know? Yes. Did he tell you? No. I'm leaving. Don't. Excuse me? Stay for the ceremony. Why in God's name would I stay? Because if you walk out now, it becomes a scene. Then Paige gets to say she was right. I don't care what Paige says. I do. There was another silence. Are you all right? She asked. The question was so simple that I nearly answered it honestly. I'm home. That is not what I asked. I know. Music rose faintly on her end. The ceremony was beginning. I'll call you after, she said. You don't have to. I wasn't requesting permission. She hung up. I took off my earrings and placed them on the table beside the Bible. The backs were still pinched tight from where I had fastened them with nervous fingers. I removed Samuel's pin next. There was a tiny hole in the fabric of my dress. In the kitchen, trays covered every available surface. I had stacked the breakfast casseroles in the refrigerator beside cut fruit and 3 pitchers of orange juice. The coffee cake waited under a glass dome. 26 plates stood ready in the dining room. I looked at all of it and understood that tomorrow morning people would enter my house talking about a wedding I had watched through no link and no window. They would tell me how beautiful Paige looked. They would ask why I had not attended. Someone would suggest a group photograph in my backyard. My phone lit with a message from Adam. Please don't do anything until we talk. I read it twice. The sentence assumed I was the danger. I opened the group message Paige had created for the brunch and typed, I'm sorry, but I will not be able to host tomorrow morning. Please make other breakfast arrangements. My thumb hovered over the screen. It seemed rude. It also seemed insufficient. I added, the food will not go to waste. Then I deleted that sentence because no one had asked about the food. I sent the message. Responses began almost immediately. Aunt Denise. Is everything okay? One of Adam's friends. We can help set up. Brent. Hotel has breakfast until 10 FYI. Nora sent only a period. It was our signal from childhood, for I have seen this and am choosing not to say what I think in writing. I went upstairs, unzipped the blue dress, and hung it on the back of the bedroom door. For the second time in 2 days, it waited there for an occasion. I put on gray slacks and one of Samuel's old button-down shirts. The cuffs swallowed my hands. At 4:20, the estate number called. I did not answer. At 4:23, Adam called. I did not answer that either. At 4:31, Paige called. Her voicemail arrived a minute later. "Ruth, I understand you're upset, but canceling the brunch without speaking to us is incredibly unfair to everyone who traveled. Adam is trying to focus on our ceremony, and now people are asking questions. Please call him and tell him you overreacted. We can deal with the rest privately. Our ceremony." By then it was over. I carried the phone into the study, set it face down on Samuel's desk, and sat in his chair. The seat gave its familiar creak beneath me. On the shelf, the empty space where the Bible belonged seemed almost indecent. When Samuel was alive, I had believed grief would be a dramatic thing. Wailing in a hospital corridor, falling to your knees in a cemetery. Grief turned out to be more domestic. It was buying milk by habit and throwing half away. It was hearing a joke and storing it for a person who no longer had anywhere to receive it. That afternoon, grief was knowing exactly what Samuel would have said about Adam and not having him there to say it. He would have been furious first. Then, after cooling down, he would have found a way to blame himself. We had given Adam too many soft places to land. Samuel had said that once, after Adam forgot to pay a utility bill in college, and we covered the late fee. We keep teaching him that consequences are just problems waiting for his parents. At the time, I told Samuel a $30 fee was not a moral lesson. Sitting in his chair, I wished I had listened more carefully. Nora arrived at 7:15 carrying her shoes again and a square of wedding cake wrapped in a linen napkin. I opened the door before she could use her key. She took one look at Samuel's shirt on me and held out the cake. "I stole this. You didn't have to steal cake. I didn't have to stay either, but apparently tonight is about bad choices." She came inside and set her shoes by the stairs. "Did you eat?" "No." "I'll heat a casserole. They're for the brunch." "There is no brunch." "That doesn't mean you can murder one." She went into the kitchen, took a casserole from the refrigerator, and turned on the oven. I sat at the table while she pulled foil from the dish. "What did they tell people?" I asked. "Adam said you weren't feeling well." I looked down at my hands. "Paige said it was a private family matter," Nora continued. "Then her mother told Denise you'd become overwhelmed and decided not to attend." "I decided?" I corrected her. "I told you not to make a scene. I didn't make a scene. I used a complete sentence at a moderate volume." "What sentence?" "Ruth arrived. They refused to let her in." I closed my eyes. "People were asking. So you told them." I answered. "Those aren't the same thing, Nora." I did not stand on a chair. I did not seize the microphone. I did not even throw my wine, though Colleen spent half the evening within excellent range. The oven beeped. Nora pushed the casserole inside. "The empty Bible stand stayed there through the whole ceremony," she said. "Nobody moved it. I pictured it without wanting to. Adam looked at it twice during the vows. Don't. I'm not defending him. Then don't tell me how sad he looked." She sat across from me. "He did look sad," she said. "He also got married." The reception continued without me. Nora described almost none of it. She told me Brent danced with a coat rack for several seconds before realizing his mistake, and that Colleen eventually chose the least insulting shawl. She did not tell me about the first dance or the speeches. I was grateful. We ate casserole from cereal bowls because neither of us wanted to set the table. At 9:40, headlights moved across the front windows. Nora looked at me. "Are you expecting someone?" "No." The front door opened. Adam still had his key. He stepped into the hall wearing his wedding suit with the tie pulled loose. A pale flower remained pinned to his lapel. His hair had collapsed on one side. He looked like a groom in the final scene of a movie, except he was alone. Nora stood. "Where's Paige?" I asked. "At the hotel. You left your reception? It's winding down." Nora checked the clock. At 9:40? Adam looked at her. "Can I talk to my mother? You can talk in front of me." "Nora," I said. She hesitated, then picked up her shoes. "I'll be upstairs." "You don't live upstairs," Adam said. "I do tonight." She climbed the stairs without putting on the shoes. Adam waited until we heard the guest room door close. "You canceled the brunch," he said. I folded my hands on the table. "Yes, people traveled for us. And the hotel serves breakfast until 10. This isn't funny. Brent thought it might help. Paige's family thinks you canceled to embarrass her. Did you tell them why I canceled?" He walked into the kitchen and saw the half-eaten casserole. "Mom, I know you're hurt. That's a lovely way to say what happened. What do you want me to call it?" I looked at the wilted flower on his chest. "You told me to bring the Bible to a place where my name was on a list saying I wasn't allowed inside. I didn't make the list. You knew about it." "Not until this morning. You had several hours to call me." I tried to change Paige's mind. "You could have changed yours." His jaw tightened. "It was my wedding day. I'm aware." She was panicking. She thought you were going to confront her in front of everyone. "Did you think that?" "No, but after last night." "What did I do last night?" "You kept pushing. I asked why I was seated behind a roofing salesman. That's not fair. To which one of us?" He sat across from me, suddenly looking older than he had at the altar. "I didn't know what to do," he said. "You could have walked outside." "Then what?" "I leave Paige standing there? You keep talking as if those were the only choices. Abandon your bride or abandon your mother. I didn't abandon you." I glanced at the Bible on the dining room table. He followed my eyes. "I asked you to leave it because Dad should have been there. Your father would not have gone inside without me." The words struck him. I saw it. Then he stood so quickly the chair scraped the floor. "You always do that." "Do what?" "Speak for him when I can't argue back. I stood too, and you used him to get that Bible out of my house." His face went red. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then Adam reached into his pocket, removed his key from the ring, and put it on the table. "I guess I don't need this anymore. I had not asked for it. Not yet." He looked almost disappointed when I did not push it back toward him. "I'm going on my honeymoon tomorrow," he said. "I know. Maybe we should talk when you've calmed down." There it was again. The assumption that time would return me to the person he preferred. Adam walked to the door. "Your flower is falling off," I said. He looked down at it, pulled it from his lapel, and left it on the little table in the hall. After the door closed, I picked up the key. The metal was still warm from his hand. Nora came down after Adam's car had disappeared. She had changed into an old robe she kept in my guest room closet and slippers, shaped like gray cats. Samuel had bought them for her as a joke. She had worn them for 9 years out of spite. "What did he want?" she asked. "To tell me I overreacted. He left his wife at their wedding reception for that?" The reception was winding down. Nora looked at the clock. "Maybe rich people wind down earlier. They're not rich. Then that place had excellent columns for nothing." She saw the key in my hand and stopped joking. "Did you ask for that?" "No." "Did he throw it?" He placed it. Angrily, with restraint. Worse. I set the key beside the wilted flower. One small metal object, one bruised white rose, both abandoned because Adam had wanted me to stop him. Nora came closer. "You know he expected you to give it back." "I know. Are you going to?" "No." The answer surprised both of us. Nora leaned against the table. "Good. Don't say good like we won something. I'm not. I'm saying good because he walked into your house without knocking to complain that you wouldn't serve breakfast to people who attended a wedding you were barred from. A door should occasionally introduce him to consequences." The coffee cake was still beneath its glass dome in the dining room. Nora cut 2 slices, though neither of us wanted them. We ate standing at the counter. It was nearly midnight before she went upstairs. I stayed awake listening to the house. I thought of Adam and Paige in their hotel room, still dressed for the most important day of their lives, arguing about me. I hated that. I hated that I had become the story people carried away from the wedding. I could imagine Paige sitting on the edge of a white hotel bed, removing hairpins one by one, while Adam explained that I had always been sensitive. By morning, there were 14 unread messages on my phone. Aunt Denise wanted to know whether she had offended me. One cousin offered to bring folding tables if the cancellation was a space problem. Colleen wrote, "We are all exhausted. Let's not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions." Brent sent the hotel breakfast menu. I liked Brent more every hour. Nora found me reading the messages at the kitchen table. "Don't answer Colleen," she said. "I wasn't going to. You have your polite face. You can't see my face. You're behind me. I can hear it." She opened the refrigerator and surveyed the food. "We need a distribution plan. We sound like a relief organization. We have enough eggs to be one. We kept one casserole and froze the other." Nora took the croissants to her apartment building, where she claimed 4 widows and a divorced dentist would handle them responsibly. I carried the fruit and orange juice to Mr. and Mrs. Alvarez next door. Mrs. Alvarez looked at the trays, then at me. "Wasn't the wedding yesterday?" "Yes." She waited for more. The brunch was canceled. Her gaze dropped to the fruit. "Do you want me to ask?" "No." "Do you want me not to ask?" "Yes." She took the tray from me. "Then I'll return your dish on Tuesday." This was why I liked her. The coffee cake was more difficult. Samuel's recipe made a dense square cake with cinnamon folded through the middle and pecans pressed into the top. He had baked it every Christmas morning and on Adam's birthday. After he died, I continued because stopping seemed too much like admitting the recipe had belonged to him. I wrapped half for Nora. The other half stayed under the dome. By noon, pictures from the wedding began appearing in the family message. Paige beneath an arch of white flowers. Adam touching his forehead to hers during the first dance. Colleen in the blue shawl, apparently no longer insulted. In one photograph, the empty wooden easel stood beside the altar. Someone had draped the loose ribbon over it, arranging absence to look intentional. I enlarged the picture with 2 fingers. The ribbon was not Samuel's. It was new, pale blue satin, probably chosen to match the flowers. The Bible was meant to sit across it like decoration in a store window. I closed the photograph. Nora left that afternoon. Before she went, she put Adam's key in the top drawer of the hall table. "You shouldn't have to look at it," she said. "I know where it is, whether I see it or not. That is unfortunately true of most family problems." At the door, she hugged me longer than usual. "Call me tonight. You'll call me whether I do or not." "Yes, but I'd like the illusion of mutual effort." The house settled after she left. I washed bowls that were already clean. I moved the Bible from the dining room table to the desk in Samuel's study, but I did not put it on the shelf. The ribbon remained around the page. On Monday, Aunt Denise called. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but Denise had been pleasant to me for most of the wedding planning. She spoke too loudly, overused the word fabulous, and had once mailed me a thank you card for a thank you card. None of that made her responsible for the gate. "Ruth, I won't keep you," she said. "I only want to understand what happened. I wasn't admitted to the wedding." Nora said that, but Colleen thinks there was confusion. There was a printed instruction beside my name. Denise became quiet. Did Paige know? She gave the instruction. Oh. 1 syllable could carry an impressive amount of furniture. "I'm not asking you to take a side," I said. "No, I understand. I hope the ceremony was beautiful." It was. The answer came too quickly, then broke at the edges. "I'm sorry," she said. I looked out the kitchen window at the fence Adam and I had repaired. 2 boards sat slightly higher than the others, because he had measured once while talking on the phone. "Thank you." "Paige gets frightened when she thinks she's losing control," Denise said. "That doesn't excuse it." "No, she's not cruel. I didn't say she was." Another silence. "That somehow feels worse," Denise said. After we hung up, I returned to the study and removed Samuel's ribbon from the Bible. I folded it into the wooden box that had held the cufflinks. Adam and Paige left for their honeymoon that afternoon. I knew because Adam sent a photograph of 2 boarding passes to the family message. For the first time in his life, he traveled without texting me to ask whether he had left something at my house. I did not respond to the photograph. The following Sunday, I woke at 6:30 out of habit. Sunday dinner had never been formally scheduled. It had simply happened for so many years that everyone treated it like weather. Adam usually called around noon to ask what I was making, and Paige arrived carrying wine she did not drink. Nora came when she felt social. Sometimes the Lows came separately now that their divorce had matured into friendship. I stood in front of the refrigerator, considering a pot roast for people who were on another continent. Then I closed the door. I made scrambled eggs for myself and ate them on the back step. The repaired fence cast thin shadows across the grass. Without a dinner to prepare, the day expanded in every direction. Freedom and loneliness turned out to have very similar floor plans. I walked to the hardware store for light bulbs I did not need. I called Nora and told her not to come over. I cleaned one drawer of Samuel's desk, then put almost everything back. In the garage, I found 6 plastic tubs with Adam's name written across the lids. There were college books, old tax records, lamps from an apartment he had not occupied in 12 years, golf clubs he disliked, and 2 boxes he had brought over before moving in with Paige. Behind them stood a rolled rug. Paige had decided was too temporary for their apartment, but might be useful someday. I had spent years leaving a clear path around those things. That afternoon, I moved the tubs together along one wall. I did not open them. I wrote a list of what was there, then folded the paper and left it on my desk. Paige posted honeymoon photographs every day. Blue water, white buildings, plates of food too carefully arranged to eat. In the pictures, she and Adam looked relaxed and sunlit. I was glad. I was also angry that I was glad. They returned 8 days after the wedding. At 4 that afternoon, someone knocked. Not the quick double tap Adam had used before entering with his key. A formal knock. 3 measured strikes. I opened the door. Adam stood on the porch holding a bag from the duty-free shop. Paige was beside him in cream trousers, her hair pulled into a smooth knot. They both looked rested and braced for impact. "We brought you something," Adam said. He held out the bag. Inside was a bottle of olive oil with a painted ceramic stopper. "Thank you." He waited for me to move aside. I did. They entered carefully, like guests in a home they had visited before. In the living room, Paige sat at the end of the sofa. Adam chose Samuel's old chair, then seemed to realize what he had done and stood again. "Would anyone like coffee?" I asked. "No," Paige said. "Yes," Adam said at the same time. I made coffee. When I returned, neither of them had taken off their shoes. Adam accepted a mug and held it without drinking. Paige placed both hands on her knees. "I think we should all acknowledge that wedding weekend became more painful than it needed to be." "All?" She breathed in slowly. "I made the decision to keep you from the ceremony. I was afraid there would be a confrontation. Did I threaten one? Not in those words. In any words?" Adam looked at me. "Mom, she's trying." Paige's mouth tightened. "I'm sorry you were hurt," she said. "That is not the same as being sorry you did it." "I'm sorry I did it." The sentence sounded forced, but it was at least the right sentence. "And I'm sorry," she continued, "that you felt canceling the brunch was your only option." There it was. "I didn't feel it was my only option," I said. "I chose it." Adam set his mug down. "So you admit it was punishment?" "No. I decided not to host a celebration for a wedding I was forbidden to attend. You embarrassed us. You told people I was sick. We were trying to protect your privacy. You were protecting the wedding from the truth." Paige stood. "This is pointless." "No," I said. "It's only uncomfortable." Adam looked toward the hall, toward the drawer where his key waited. "What do you want from us?" "I want a different relationship." His eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" "It means you call before you come. You wait to be invited inside. You don't assume Sunday dinner, storage, errands, or favors are part of having a mother." Paige stared at me. "You're making rules now? I'm explaining the rules that should have been unnecessary." Adam's face hardened. "So I'm not welcome in the house where I grew up." I looked at my son standing 10 feet from the front door. I did not leave you on the porch, I said, but you did knock. Adam glanced at Paige, perhaps hoping she had a response prepared. She did. So this is about the wedding, she said. You're changing the terms of the entire family because of one decision. The terms needed changing before the wedding. The wedding made that clear. I apologized. You said everyone made the weekend more painful than necessary. Is that untrue? You gave security my name. Her face colored. I was under enormous stress. I believe you. I thought you might cause a scene. I believe that too. Then what exactly do you want me to say? I don't want you to say anything you don't mean. Paige looked toward Adam. This is what she does. I waited. What do I do? She stays calm, so if anyone else gets upset, they look unreasonable. That is impressive, I said. I didn't know I had that kind of control over your face. Adam stood. Can both of you stop? No, Paige said. I'm tired of being the only one expected to admit fault. He stared at her. I admitted fault. When? In the car. Oh, good. I'm sure your mother appreciated that. His expression tightened. I watched the exchange and understood that they had not come to apologize. They had come to finish an argument that had traveled home with them. Adam turned to me. I should have called you that morning. Yes. I should have come outside. Yes. But canceling the brunch without warning hurt people who had nothing to do with it. I gave them more warning than you gave me. He opened his mouth, then closed it. The coffee sat untouched between us. I went to the desk, took the folded inventory from beneath the blotter, and handed it to him. What's this? The things you have stored in the garage. He read the first few lines. You made a list? I was in the garage. You went through my boxes? No. I read the labels. Paige leaned over his shoulder. There are 6 tubs and a rug. That rug is still here? Adam looked at her. You said we might use it. I said we might use it in the old apartment. You hated it in the old apartment. I hated the couch. The rug was orange. It is rust. I waited until they remembered me. I'd like everything collected by the end of the month, I said. Adam lowered the paper. Why? Because I want my garage back. You don't park in there. I might. You hate parking in the garage. I enjoy having choices. He folded the inventory, but not along the crease I had made. Are you clearing me out? I'm asking you to take responsibility for your belongings. That isn't what this is. Then it should be easy. Paige stood and reached for her purse. We should go. Adam did not move. You said you wanted a different relationship, he said. It sounds like you don't want one at all. If that were true, I would not have let you in. His eyes went to the front door again. There are moments when love asks you to make things easier, and moments when love has been made easy for so long that difficulty is the only honest thing left. I could have told him the boxes could stay. I could have put the key back in his hand and promised dinner the following Sunday. His shoulders would have dropped. Paige would have relaxed. We might even have opened the olive oil and admired the painted stopper. Instead, I said, the end of the month is almost 3 weeks away. Adam slipped the list into his pocket. Fine. He walked to the door. Paige followed, then turned back. For what it's worth, I did want that Bible there, because it mattered to Adam. It wasn't just decoration. I thought of the pale ribbon draped over the empty easel. It matters to me, too. Apparently. She left before I could answer. Adam remained on the porch for half a second, as if waiting for me to call him back. Then he closed the door. The bottle of olive oil stayed on the coffee table. I left it there for 4 days because using it felt like forgiveness, and throwing it away felt theatrical. On the 5th day, Nora came over, opened it, and poured half of it over a bowl of tomatoes. That resolves that, she said. You could have asked. You would have built a shrine around a condiment. She tasted a tomato. It's good. I'm relieved they enjoyed something. Nora pointed her fork at me. Careful. What? You're starting to enjoy being bitter. I am not. A little bitterness is medicinal. Too much, and you become Colleen. I took the bowl away from her. Sunday arrived, and at 11:47, Adam sent a message to the family group. "Are we doing dinner?" The wording interested me. Not, "Mom, are you cooking?" Not, "Can we come over?" Dinner had become a self-operating event that might be occurring somewhere without human intervention. I typed, "I don't have plans to host tonight." Franklin Lowe replied, "Everything okay?" His former wife Judith answered before I did. "Ruth is allowed a Sunday off, Frank." Franklin wrote, "I was just asking." Judith wrote, "You're always just asking when someone else is cooking." Nora added, "I can make lasagna." 5 minutes passed without a response. Then Brent, who had somehow remained in the group, wrote, "I'm free." Nora's lasagna took place at her apartment. She used too much ricotta and not enough salt. Franklin came without Judith. Judith arrived 20 minutes later with bread, and both claimed not to have coordinated. Adam and Paige did not attend. No one said the word wedding until dessert. Then Franklin asked, "Is this going to be the new arrangement?" "What arrangement?" Nora said. "Moving dinner around." "There is no arrangement," I said. Judith stirred her coffee. "People like arrangements. They save us from having to invite one another." The remark was not aimed at me, which did not make it less accurate. For years I had believed Sunday dinner kept us close. Sitting around Nora's undersized table, I wondered whether it had merely kept everyone familiar. Closeness required questions that could not be answered by passing the potatoes. My phone buzzed beneath the table. Adam had sent me a private message. "We can get the boxes next Saturday." I replied, "That's fine. Let me know what time." He did not answer until Thursday, around noon. At 11:58 Saturday morning, a rental van pulled into my driveway. Adam got out alone. I opened the garage door from inside. He paused when he saw the tubs lined neatly against the wall. "You didn't have to arrange them like a shipment," he said. "It made room to walk." He wore old jeans and a gray sweatshirt from his college. The sleeves had frayed at the cuffs. For years, he had claimed the sweatshirt was too comfortable to discard, though it looked capable of dissolving in rain. "Where's Paige?" "She's doing something with her mother." The answer came too quickly. He lifted the first tub. "What's in this?" "The label says books." "I can read the label. That puts you ahead of the Lowe's seating card." He nearly smiled. The expression appeared and disappeared before either of us could acknowledge it. We carried 2 tubs to the van. On the third trip, the cracked bottom of one container gave way. A lamp, 3 binders, and a stack of old magazines slid onto the driveway. Adam swore and grabbed for the lamp. "Careful," I said. "It's plastic. You can still cut yourself." "I'm 39. Plastic respects age." I forgot. He sat back on his heels, holding the lamp. Dust streaked one knee of his jeans. "This was in my first apartment," he said. "I know. You and Dad brought it when I moved in. Your father said no adult should live with overhead lighting. He hated that apartment. He hated your neighbor." Mr. Pell was 70. Mr. Pell played drums at 2 in the morning. He was learning. He had been learning since 1964. Adam laughed. The sound startled us both. For the next few minutes, we sorted the fallen contents without arguing. He found an expired membership card, a restaurant menu from a place that no longer existed, and a photograph of himself and Samuel standing beside a badly painted kitchen. "Remember this?" he asked. "You got paint on the ceiling." "Dad got paint on the ceiling." "Your father never admitted that. He said gravity did it." Adam wiped the photograph with his sleeve and slipped it into his pocket. The tub was unusable, so I gave him a cardboard box from the laundry room. When we returned through the hall, he stopped outside Samuel's study. The Bible was on the desk. "You didn't put it back," he said. "Not yet." He entered the room before I could answer. He did not touch the Bible, but his hand hovered near the cover. "Did you take the ribbon out?" I put it away. He stared at the book. "We still need to write the marriage in it." I leaned against the doorframe. There's no deadline. There's always been a marriage record. And there still is. You know what I mean. "Yes." He looked at me. "Can I take it today?" "No." His hand dropped. "Why not?" "Because it isn't yours." It's the Mercer family Bible. I am a Mercer. So am I. Dad wanted it passed to me. Your father said you should have it someday. He did not say when, and he did not appoint you to hurry me. I'm not hurrying you. I want to record my wedding. I will record it. His face changed. It's my marriage. It's my Bible. He stepped away from the desk. So now you're keeping that too. I'm keeping something that has been in my care for 38 years. Because of Paige? Because of what happened? Same thing. No, Adam. Paige made one decision. You made several. He walked past me into the hall. We carried the remaining tubs in silence. The rolled rug would not fit beside them, and Adam shoved it twice before kicking the van's tire. I'll come back for that. Today? I don't know. The end of the month still stands. He gave me a look full of things he had not chosen to say. Then he climbed into the van. As he backed down the driveway, the photograph of him and Samuel rested on the dashboard. The orange rug remained in my garage, waiting to become rust. It waited for 11 days. Each time I opened the garage, the rug seemed to have shifted slightly, as if attempting to make itself useful. I stepped around it to take out the trash, walked past it while carrying groceries, and resisted the urge to lean it against the fence on Adam's side of town. On the final Saturday of the month, a white SUV pulled into my driveway. Paige got out alone. She wore black leggings, running shoes, and a faded university sweatshirt. Without the smooth knot in her hair or the careful trousers, she looked younger and more tired. I'm here for the rug, she said. I guessed. Adam had to work. On Saturday? He's behind because of the honeymoon. She opened the back of the SUV. It was already full of reusable grocery bags, a folding chair, 2 cases of sparkling water, and what appeared to be a lamp shaped like a pineapple. You may need to make room. It'll fit. I had been married long enough to know that when a person said an object would fit into a vehicle, measurements were no longer welcome. We carried the rug out together. It was heavier than it looked and less tightly rolled than it had been 3 weeks earlier. Halfway down the driveway, Paige's grip slipped. Stop, she said. I stopped. Not stop walking. Lift your side. You said stop. I meant stop letting it drag. I can't translate while carrying rust. It's orange. Then perhaps the color is making it heavier. She looked at me over the rug. For one dangerous second, I thought she might laugh. Instead, she adjusted her grip. On 3. We reached the SUV and tried to slide the rug inside. It hit the pineapple lamp. Move the lamp, I said. It was a wedding gift. That doesn't make it structural. She moved the lamp to the front passenger seat. We tried again. The rug reached the dashboard and still hung 2 feet past the rear bumper. Paige stepped back, hands on her hips. Adam said it would fit. Adam also thinks the garage is a place where time stops. She pulled out her phone. I can call him. He cannot make the vehicle longer. He can come get it. He's working. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Apparently. The word was quiet but sharp. I looked at her more closely. Is something wrong? No. Then you're using Fine's smaller cousin. She put the phone away. We had an argument. I'm sorry. Are you? Yes. She seemed offended by the answer. We carried the rug back into the garage. Paige sat on the low concrete step near the door and wiped her forehead with her sleeve. I brought 2 bottles of water from the refrigerator. She accepted one. You labeled all his boxes, she said. They were already labeled. He says you lined them up like an eviction. He enjoys strong nouns. He had to rent a storage unit. He lives in a 2-bedroom apartment. The 2nd bedroom is my office. And the golf clubs? He hasn't played golf since I met him. I know. She twisted the cap from her bottle. He told me you were clearing him out because I kept you from the wedding. I told him I wanted my garage back. You can see why he took that personally. He had things in there from an apartment with a drummer who is probably dead. Who? Mr. Pell? Never mind. She drank her water. I sat on the step beside her, leaving space between us. From that angle, the garage looked larger than it had in years. The tubs were gone. The old lawnmower stood against one wall and Samuel's workbench sat beneath the window with a thin coating of dust. Paige followed my gaze. Adam wants that bench. He has never said so. He says there's nowhere to put it. That is often the difficulty with owning things. He thinks you're getting rid of everything. I haven't gotten rid of anything. You took his key. You removed his boxes. You kept the Bible. He returned his key. I gave him 3 weeks to collect his boxes, and the Bible has never belonged to him. Her shoulders lowered a little. He said Samuel promised it to him. Samuel said he should have it someday. That sounds like a promise. It sounds like someday. Paige peeled a loose strip from the water bottle label. Adam says you use exact words when you want to avoid what someone meant. Adam uses what someone meant when he wants to avoid exact words. She glanced at me. That sounded rehearsed. It has had years to prepare. A car passed slowly in front of the house. We watched it disappear at the corner. Paige folded the piece of label between her fingers. "I knew you were bringing the Bible," she said. I did not answer. Adam told me he'd asked you. I agreed it would be meaningful, but you still gave security the instruction. Yes. The honesty was ugly and almost refreshing. When? Early that morning. I emailed the coordinator at 6:15. And you told Adam? At breakfast. What did he say? She stared at the label in her hand. He said it was too much. Hope moved in me before I could prevent it. He argued with you? He said you wouldn't make a scene. I said I couldn't take the chance. Then he said he would handle it. And you thought that meant? That he'd call you. I let out a breath. He didn't. I know that now. Did you tell security to take the Bible? I said the family item should still be delivered to the coordinator. The family item. I didn't write those words. What words did you write? She looked at me. I don't remember. I believed she remembered every word. Adam said he tried to change your mind, I said. He did for maybe 5 minutes. Then the florist called because the arch was leaning, and that settled it. No, it interrupted us. Did he bring it up again? She did not answer. The garage held its breath around us. Paige stood and began tightening the belt around the rug. You didn't have to cancel the brunch. There was less accusation in it this time. I know. You could have let everyone come and dealt with us later. I could have. It made me look horrible. You had already done the horrible thing. Her hands stopped moving. You really do stay calm on purpose. No. Sometimes I'm too tired to raise my voice. She pulled the belt tighter. Adam said you told him you couldn't sit through the ceremony if his father wasn't properly recognized. I stared at her. When? At the rehearsal dinner, before you spoke to me. I never said that. He said you were angry that the cufflinks and photograph weren't enough. I brought the cufflinks because you called and asked me to bring them. I know. You were on the phone with me. I know that now. There was a small shift in the way she stood, as if the floor had changed beneath one foot. What exactly did he tell you? I asked. That you were disappointed there wasn't a memorial, that you thought the seating proved my family mattered more, that you might say something at the ceremony if we kept pushing you aside. I asked him about my seat. I heard you. You heard the end. I heard enough. No. You heard what he had already taught you to hear. Her face went still. That's convenient. It's true. So Adam invented all of it? I don't know what he invented. I know what I said, and I know what he told me. That may be the problem. Paige picked up her purse. I'll send Adam for the rug. It needs to be gone today. She laughed once, bitterly. Of course it does. I gave him a date. Yes, Ruth. We all understand how boundaries work now. She walked toward the SUV. Paige. She turned. I did not threaten your wedding, but you did not need a threat to remove me. Fear was enough. Her eyes flashed. You have no idea what my mother has done at important events. No, I don't. She once announced my sister's divorce during a retirement dinner because she was upset no one had asked about her. That sounds awful. She makes everything about herself. I am not your mother. I know that. Did you know it when you put my name at the gate? Paige looked away. No, she said. It was the first apology she had given me that did not contain the word sorry. She drove off with the pineapple lamp wearing the passenger seatbelt. At 3:30, Adam called. What did you say to Paige? Good afternoon, Mom. She came for the rug. I know why she came. She got home and started asking me what happened at the rehearsal dinner. That seems reasonable. You told her I lied. I told her what I said. You're trying to turn her against me. I could barely turn that rug toward the driveway. This isn't a joke. No. His breathing was loud through the phone. I was trying to keep things calm, he said. You were upset. Paige was panicking. I summarized. You changed the story. I explained what you meant. You told her I might interrupt the ceremony. I said I was worried you might. Were you? He hesitated. That night, yes. Why? Because you wouldn't let the seating thing go. I took my card back to the 4th row. You kept making comments. I made one joke about Siberia, in front of people. 3 people. He exhaled hard. You always think if you don't shout, you haven't caused a scene, and you think if no one is shouting, nothing cruel is happening. Silence. In the background, I heard a door close, then Paige's voice, not speaking to me. Tell her what you told me. Adam moved the phone. Can we do this later? No, Paige said. You said your mother threatened not to attend. I said she was acting like she might not. You said she told you. I said it felt like she was telling me. That is not the same sentence. Paige. No. Apparently exact words matter. The call ended. At 6, a dark sedan stopped outside. A man I did not recognize helped Adam pull the rug from the garage. Adam did not come to the door. He did not look toward the windows. When the car left, the garage was finally empty of his things. I stood in the open space and discovered that getting what I had asked for did not feel anything like being happy. I closed the garage door and leaned my forehead against it. The metal was cool. On the other side, the workbench, lawnmower, and 2 bicycles had room around them for the first time in years. I had believed the space would feel returned to me. Instead, it looked like someone had moved out. That evening, I swept the floor. The next morning, I swept it again because dust remained in the corners. On Monday, I bought 2 hooks and hung the garden tools in a row. Samuel would have pointed out that the rake belonged on the left because of the way the handle curved. I put it on the right. Adam did not call. Paige did not call either. The family group message became very active about things that were not them. Franklin posted a photograph of a tomato shaped like Richard Nixon. Judith told him nobody under 50 would understand the comparison. Brent asked whether anyone wanted 2 tickets to a roofing convention. Sunday dinner moved to Franklin's house. He served chili from a pot large enough to wash a dog in. Judith brought cornbread, though she had told everyone she might not come. You're divorced, Nora said as Judith placed the bread beside Franklin's chili. We divided property, not carbohydrates, Judith replied. Adam and Paige were absent. No one mentioned them until Franklin opened a second bottle of wine. Has anybody heard from the newlyweds? Nora looked at me. I haven't, I said. Judith buttered her cornbread. They're probably enjoying married life. Married people still use phones, Franklin said. You didn't, Judith told him. That was different. You turned yours off during arguments. I was preserving the battery. The old exchange made everyone laugh except me. I missed Adam so suddenly that the room blurred at the edges. I lowered my face over the chili and pretended it was the steam. I had not expected holding a boundary to involve this much waiting. Each morning, I checked my phone before getting out of bed. Each night, I carried it upstairs. I told myself I was not waiting for Adam to call. Then an unknown number appeared one afternoon, and I answered before the second ring. A woman asked whether I wanted my air ducts inspected. No, I said. Are you sure, ma'am? Most homeowners don't realize. I'm extremely aware of everything in my house at the moment. She paused. All right, I'm sorry. That's okay. Have a nice day. You too. I sat on the edge of the bed, holding the silent phone. Nora called 10 minutes later. You sound strange, she said. I disappointed an air duct woman. Was she family? Not yet. Nora offered to come over. I told her I was going for a walk, then took the longest route to the grocery store and bought coffee, onions, and a jar of capers I had no plan to use. At the checkout, I saw Colleen in the next line. She wore a white visor indoors and was arguing about a coupon. I considered leaving without the onions. Then she spotted me. Ruth. The cashier looked up as if our names might appear on the coupon. Hello, Colleen. She left her cart and came toward me. I've been meaning to call. Have you? I thought it best to give everyone time. That was considerate. Her mouth tightened around the possibility that I might not mean it. The wedding was beautiful, she said. I saw photographs. It was a shame about the unpleasantness. Yes. Paige is very sensitive to conflict. I noticed. She's been under pressure since they returned. I placed my coffee on the conveyor belt. Is she all right? She's upset that people are blaming her. People know what she did. That doesn't mean they need to discuss it. Then you should stop telling them she's upset. Colleen stared at me. The cashier picked up my capers and examined the jar with unnecessary focus. I don't want this to damage the family, Colleen said. Neither did I. She made a mistake. Yes, and you've made your point. My point? The boxes, the dinners, keeping Adam's family Bible. I looked at her. Adam discussed the Bible with you? Paige did. Then perhaps you should ask Paige why I still have it. I know why. You're hurt. That isn't the same as knowing what happened. Colleen stepped closer. I understand losing a husband changes a woman, but Samuel would not want you isolating yourself. The cashier stopped moving. I could hear the fluorescent lights overhead. You met Samuel 4 times, I said. I know what kind of man he was. No, you know what jacket he wore. I paid for the groceries and left before she could answer. My hands shook while I loaded the bags into the car. There was satisfaction in the sentence I had given her, but it did not feel clean. Samuel had worn the same brown jacket to all 4 meetings. Colleen had complimented it twice. He had disliked her, though less than Nora believed. At home, I put the capers in the pantry and closed the door on them. An hour later, Paige sent a message. Could we talk without Adam? I read it several times. That depends what we're talking about, I replied. She answered, him. We met the next morning at a diner halfway between our homes. It had red vinyl booths and menus that included photographs of the food, none flattering. Paige was already seated when I arrived. She wore no makeup and had ordered black coffee. I slid into the booth across from her. Does Adam know you're here? No. Then this is already a bad idea. I'm not asking you to keep a secret. That would be difficult if he doesn't know. I'll tell him. When? She stirred coffee she had not sweetened. I don't know. I reached for my purse. Wait. I stayed. A waitress came over and called us both honey. Paige ordered toast. I ordered eggs because meeting your daughter-in-law to discuss your son seemed easier with protein. When the waitress left, Paige said, Adam admitted he changed what you said. I waited. He says he didn't lie. He says he was interpreting. He said that to me too. He told me you were threatening to disrupt the ceremony. He told you I made the decision alone. You did make the decision. He agreed. The word came out hard. He argued for 5 minutes, she continued. Then he said maybe it would be easier if you watched from home and he could come see you the next day. I looked out the window. A delivery truck blocked half the view. At the gate, he said he tried to change your mind. He did try. Then he changed his. Our food arrived. The eggs had formed a yellow skin at the edges. Paige tore her toast in half. I'm not trying to make him the villain. Good. There are enough assignments already. I did something cruel, yes. She flinched, then nodded. I was angry after the rehearsal. I thought you were judging everything. I was judging some things. Her eyes lifted. You want honesty? I said. I want to know whether you ever wanted him to marry me. That was not my decision. That isn't an answer. No. I did not always understand why everything had to be arranged your way. I worried Adam would disappear into keeping you comfortable, so you didn't want it. I wanted him to be happy. He was happy with you. Was? He may still be. I haven't seen him. She put the toast down. He's sleeping in the other room. I did not react. At least I tried not to. I'm sorry. He thinks I'm punishing him because he couldn't satisfy both of us. That is how Adam describes any choice he doesn't want to admit he made. You know he does it. I know he avoids conflict. This isn't avoiding conflict. He moves it. He takes what one person says, changes it just enough to frighten the other person, then stands between them looking exhausted. The accuracy of it made me defensive. He isn't calculating. I didn't say he was. He hates disappointing people. So he disappoints them privately and lies about it publicly. That's not fair. Paige gave me a tired smile. You defend him faster than he defended you. I looked down at my eggs. The waitress returned with more coffee. Neither of us spoke until she left. My mother did ruin things, Paige said. Birthdays, graduations, my sister's retirement dinner. If she felt ignored, she found a way to become impossible to ignore. When you questioned the seating, I thought I recognized the beginning. You recognize someone, not you. No, I know that now. I cut a piece of toast I had not ordered. I should have told you the seating hurt me, I said. Directly, without jokes. You did tell us. I asked a question and expected everyone to understand the answer. That's still more than I gave you. Her voice cracked slightly. She looked toward the window until it passed. I'm not asking you to forgive me, she said. Then what are you asking? I need to know what happened without Adam translating. The sentence sat between us. I told her exactly what happened in the hallway at the restaurant. I repeated my words and Adam's as closely as I could remember. I told her about his call for the Bible, though I admitted he may not yet have known about the security instruction. I told her what he said through the glass. She listened without defending him. When I finished, she folded her napkin into smaller and smaller squares. He told me you refused to leave the Bible because you wanted everyone to notice the empty stand. I didn't know the stand would remain. He said you knew. I didn't. She nodded as if adding an item to a list she wished were shorter. I'm going to tell him we met, she said. You should. He'll think we're joining forces. We aren't. No, we both hurt each other. Yes. And he helped. Yes. That was as close to an alliance as either of us could tolerate. Outside the diner, Paige paused beside her car. Samuel's anniversary is next Thursday, isn't it? I was surprised she remembered. Yes. Adam has been waiting for you to tell him what the plan is. There is no plan. There's always been one. Not always. Only for 3 years. Adam and I had gone to the cemetery together, then eaten meatloaf in my kitchen because it was Samuel's favorite meal. I'm going at 10, I said. Should I tell him? No. She stiffened. I'll tell him myself. That afternoon, I sent Adam a message. I'm going to the cemetery Thursday at 10. You're welcome to come. His answer did not arrive until after midnight. Will Paige be there? I wrote, She is welcome too. At 8 the next morning, he replied, I'll come alone. At 9:58 Thursday morning, Adam pulled into the cemetery carrying sunflowers. Samuel hated sunflowers. He said they looked like witnesses who had seen too much. I had brought white chrysanthemums and a pair of garden shears to trim the grass around the marker. Adam got out of his car, straightened his jacket, and looked at my flowers. You brought mums. Your father liked them. He liked these too. No, he didn't. Adam looked at the sunflowers in his hand. He said they were cheerful. He said they were nosy. That sounds made up. It was at Nora's barbecue. She had them in a vase. He might have been joking. He was. That didn't make him like them. Adam followed me along the paved path. The morning was cool and bright. Overnight rain had darkened the trunks of the trees, and water still clung to the grass. My shoes became wet before we reached the marker. Samuel Mercer. Beloved husband. Devoted father. The words had seemed incomplete when I chose them. Everything seemed incomplete when reduced to a number of characters approved by a stone company. I set the chrysanthemums beside the marker. Adam placed his sunflowers on the other side. "They look fine," he said. "They're watching us." He almost smiled. We stood without speaking. The cemetery was mostly empty except for a man pushing a noisy mower in the distance. Each time he turned, the engine faded, then returned. Adam put his hands in his pockets. "You came here with Paige." It was not a question. "We had breakfast. She didn't tell me until after. She said she would." "Did you enjoy comparing stories?" "I ate eggs. Enjoy might be too strong. I'm serious. So am I." He looked toward the next row of markers. "She says, I lied to both of you." "Did you?" "I told you what happened. You told me Paige made the decision. She did. You agreed with it. After she made it. That isn't a defense. I'm not saying it is." I knelt and began trimming the grass around the stone. It had grown over the lower edge. The shears made small metallic sounds in my hand. Adam watched for a minute, then crouched on the other side and pulled loose grass from the engraved letters. "You could have asked me to bring something useful," he said. "I didn't know you owned anything useful. It was all in my garage." He gave me a look. The old ease between us still existed. That was one of the cruelest parts. Anger had not destroyed it. It appeared in flashes, making everything around it feel colder when it disappeared. Adam brushed dirt from Samuel's name. "Paige says you told her exactly what I said at the restaurant." "Yes." "How could you remember every word?" "I didn't claim every word. I told her what I remembered. She thinks I invented the whole argument. She thinks you changed it. I was trying to explain what was happening. To whom? Both of you. Neither of us needed an interpreter. You weren't listening to each other. You made sure of that." He stood and wiped his hands on his trousers. "Do you know what it was like being between you?" I looked up at him. "You weren't between us, Adam. You were beside Paige. You were marrying her. And you were making me feel like choosing her meant betraying you." I asked about a seat. It wasn't just the seat. No. It became the security list, the live stream card, the Bible, and you standing behind a door. His mouth hardened. "You want the worst version of everything. I want the version that happened." He stepped away from the marker. For a moment, I thought he might leave. Instead, he walked to a nearby bench and sat. His sunflowers leaned toward his father's name. I finished trimming the grass, gathered the clippings, and joined him. The bench was damp. Neither of us mentioned it. After a while, Adam said, "You always know what Dad would have done." "No, I don't. You told me he wouldn't have gone inside without you. He wouldn't. How do you know? I was married to him for 42 years. That doesn't mean you know what he would have done in every situation. No. But you use him like you do." The mower turned again. Its engine swelled across the cemetery. "Your father was not perfect," I said. "You don't talk like he wasn't. I don't talk about him much at all. That's the same thing. You freeze him as the good man, and then every time I do something wrong, he becomes the man who wouldn't have." I watched water gather at the toe of my shoe. "You're right," I said. Adam turned. The answer had interrupted whatever he planned to say next. "I do that sometimes," I continued. "Dead people become very cooperative. They never contradict the version we need." He looked toward the grave. Dad contradicted everyone, constantly. He would have hated that inscription. He did not get a vote. Devoted father sounds like a retirement plaque. I wanted annoying about thermostats, but it cost extra. Adam laughed once, then covered his mouth with his hand. I felt Samuel in that laugh, not as a message or a presence, only as a missing person who would have enjoyed it. "He failed me too," I said. Adam lowered his hand. "When your Aunt Margaret told me I was selfish for going back to work," Samuel sat at the table and said nothing. "Aunt Margaret said that? She said many things. Silence was rarely one of them. What did Dad do? He drove me home and explained that Margaret had been unhappy for years. That sounds like him. It was not the point. I told him I did not need a diagnosis of his sister. I needed a husband. What did he say? that he didn't want to make it worse. Adam looked down. I slept in the guest room for 3 nights, I continued. The mattress was terrible. I nearly forgave him for my own spine. Did he apologize? Eventually. How long? 6 days. That's very specific. I had a calendar. He rubbed dirt from the side of his thumb. Did you forgive him? Yes. Just like that? No. First, he had to tell Margaret she was not allowed to speak to me that way again. Then he had to stop explaining Margaret to me. And then, over time, I believed he understood. Adam was quiet. I'm not Dad, he said. No. You could say that with less relief. You are not only the worst thing you have done either. He looked at me then. His face softened, but the softness did not reach all the way through. Do you want to get lunch? I asked. Are you cooking? I made the meatloaf. His shoulders dropped before he could stop them. I had made it the night before. Samuel's favorite, Adam's second favorite, mine somewhere below soup. I had told myself I was honoring tradition, not anticipating my son. We drove separately to my house. Adam parked at the curb rather than in the driveway. I unlocked the front door, then noticed he had stopped behind me. What? I asked. I'm waiting to be invited. The words held enough bitterness to preserve themselves. You came from the cemetery with me. You said I should wait to be invited inside. You are invited. You didn't say it. Would you like a printed card? I'd like to know what the rules are. You know the rules. No, I know the punishment. I opened the door wider. You may come inside, Adam. He walked past me. The meatloaf was in the refrigerator. While it heated, he set the table. He put out 3 plates by habit, stared at the third, then returned it to the cabinet. We ate beneath the clock that had measured most of his childhood meals. This is dry, he said. It has always been dry. Dad liked gravy. Your father liked ketchup and called it gravy. Adam went to the refrigerator and found the bottle. He brought it to the table without asking whether I wanted any. I did. For several minutes, we ate without discussing the wedding, the Bible, Paige, the garage, or keys. Adam told me about a man at work who microwaved fish twice in 1 week. I told him about the air duct woman. You apologized to her. I was abrupt. She called you. That does not eliminate manners. It's a sales call. Salespeople have feelings. You should invite her to Sunday dinner. There is no Sunday dinner. The ease vanished again. Adam set down his fork. Is that permanent? I don't know. Franklin's chili was terrible. I heard. Paige didn't want to go. Did you? I didn't want everyone looking at us. What do you think they're looking at? He leaned back. You made sure they all know. Nora answered a question. You canceled the brunch in the group. I did not explain why. You didn't have to. Silence is your specialty. The remark found its target. I folded my napkin beside my plate. Your father used silence to avoid choosing me, I said. You're saying I use it to make people choose. Sometimes. Then tell me what I should have said. He opened his mouth. No, I said, be exact. What should I have written to 26 people the morning after your wedding? He looked at the ketchup bottle. I don't know. Neither did I. I'm not saying you should have hosted. That is what you have said for a month. I'm saying I wish you hadn't made it impossible to fix. I made it impossible to pretend. He pushed his plate away. You think this is better? No. That answer stopped him, too. I gathered the plates and took them to the sink. Adam followed with the glasses. I don't feel better, I said. My garage is empty. My Sundays are quiet. My son knocks on my door like a salesman. None of that is what I wanted. Then why are you doing it? Because the old way taught you that I would remain useful no matter how you treated me. He stood beside the sink. I didn't ask you to be useful. No. You expected it. He looked through the doorway toward the study. Can we write the marriage in the Bible today? I dried my hands. Why today? Because it's Dad's anniversary. That is not an answer. Because I don't want a blank line sitting there like you're waiting to see whether my marriage lasts. The thought had never occurred to me. Is that what Paige thinks? It's what I think. The blank line is not a judgment. It feels like one. I walked into the study and opened the Bible. Adam remained in the doorway. The marriage record held names in 3 different hands. Mine and Samuel's had been entered by my mother. Beside the date, she had added clear skies after rain. I rested my palm near the empty space below the last entry. A record is not a blessing, I said. Writing your name does not mean I approve of everything you do. Leaving it blank does not erase your marriage. Then write it, not because you demand it. What do I have to do? I don't know yet. He stared at me. That's convenient. No, it's honest. He entered the room and stopped beside the desk. His fingers moved toward the cover, then paused. Can I see it? I turned the Bible toward him. He touched the page carefully. After a moment, he said, I knew you'd bring it. I waited. When I called that night, I knew if I mentioned Dad, you wouldn't say no. His eyes remained on the page. I didn't know about the security instruction yet, but the next morning after Paige told me, I still knew you were coming. I kept thinking I'd call after the florist, after the coordinator, after I got dressed. He swallowed. Then it was too late, and part of me thought if you were already there, you'd leave the Bible anyway. The confession did not repair anything. It did something harder. It made the wound exact. Adam closed the Bible. I used Dad to get you there, he said. Yes, I'm sorry. I looked at my son's hand resting on the worn leather. Thank you for saying it. He waited for more. I had no more to give him yet. Adam stayed beside the desk long enough for the silence to become uncomfortable. Then he nodded once, as if I had answered a question. I should go. There's meatloaf left. I'm not hungry. You ate 2 slices. I mean, I don't want to take any. He walked toward the front door. I followed him as far as the hall. At the drawer where his key remained, he slowed. He knew it was there. I knew he knew. Neither of us reached for it. Mom, yes? I don't know how to fix this if you won't tell me what you need. I need you not to make me responsible for fixing what you did. That's not what I'm asking. It's close. His mouth tightened. What am I supposed to do? Keep apologizing until you react correctly. No? Then what? I thought about it. Call me sometime when you don't need anything. He stared at me as if I had assigned a complicated task. I call you. You call to ask about dinner, storage, mail, your father's things, or what someone else said. That's not true. Then it should be easy. His hand touched the door. You make everything a test now. No, you're only noticing the answers. He left without slamming the door, which somehow made the house quieter. 3 days later, Adam called at 7 in the evening. Do you need something? I asked. No. The answer sounded offended. All right. A pause. How are you? I'm fine. That doesn't count. You told Paige Fine was a smaller cousin. I smiled before I could stop myself. That was private. Apparently nothing is private anymore. The smile disappeared. I'm sorry, he said quickly. That came out wrong. Yes. Another pause. At last he told me the man who microwaved fish at work had been reported to human resources. For fish? For creating a hostile environment. Did you report him? No. His manager did. Coward. I told him to stop. Before or after human resources? Before. Then there may be hope for you. He laughed. The call lasted 8 minutes. He did not ask about dinner, the Bible, or the key. On Friday, he called to tell me Franklin's Nixon tomato had collapsed on the kitchen windowsill. On Monday, he asked whether I had watched a documentary Samuel used to like, then remembered halfway through the question that Samuel had fallen asleep every time it was on. The calls were awkward. Some ended with long spaces neither of us knew how to fill. Once Adam called, while I was at the hardware store, and seemed surprised that I was not home. Another time, I answered from Nora's apartment, and he asked what I was doing there, as though I had begun a second family. We're playing cards, I said. You hate cards. I hate losing at cards. Are you losing? Nora cheats. "I can hear you," Nora shouted. "Then stop cheating." The calls did not restore anything. They formed a narrow bridge over a distance we still had to cross. Paige did not call. A white envelope arrived with my name written across the front in her precise hand. Inside was one page. She did not begin with, "I'm sorry you were hurt." She wrote that she had instructed the coordinator to refuse me entry. She had done it because she believed fear gave her the right to control another person's place in the family. She admitted she had expected me to surrender the Bible anyway. She wrote that the empty stand embarrassed her during the ceremony, and only later did she understand that the embarrassment belonged there. At the bottom, she added, "You do not owe me an answer or a relationship. I am sorry." I read it at the kitchen table. Then I read it again. Nora arrived while the letter was still in my hand. What's that? An apology. From Adam? Paige? Nora took off her coat. Does it contain the phrase, "if you were offended"? No. Does it cite wedding stress? No. Does it accuse you of anything? No. She sat across from me. That must be unsettling. It is. Are you going to answer? I don't know. You could wait. I know. You're not required to forgive someone on the schedule of their regret. That sounds like something you read on a mug. It was a pillow. I folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. I did not answer that day, or the next. The family began discussing Thanksgiving in the group message before Halloween decorations had left the stores. For 12 years, Thanksgiving had been at my house. No one asked whether I would host. They began by asking what time everyone should arrive. I watched the messages collect. Franklin offered to bring wine. Judith reminded him that he always brought wine and considered it cooking. Nora claimed pies. Aunt Denise asked whether she could invite Brent. I typed, "I won't be hosting Thanksgiving this year." The message remained unanswered for 6 minutes. Then Adam wrote, "Paige and I can host." Their apartment seated 6 if 2 people balanced near the bookcase. 11 adults had already joined the discussion. Paige added, "We'd really like to. We can make it work." Colleen immediately offered her dining room. Paige replied, "We have it handled, Mom." Nora called me. "Thanksgiving at the scene of the marriage," she said. Bold. It's their home. It's a 2-bedroom apartment with 1 bedroom under diplomatic protection. You don't have to go. Yes, I do. I need to see where they put Rust. The invitation arrived by email. Paige had made a schedule, assigned parking, and included a diagram showing where coats should be placed. At the bottom, in bold letters, she wrote, "Ruth, please bring nothing. It's either growth or a threat," Nora said. I accepted. I answered Paige's letter, too. "Thank you for telling the truth. I'm not ready to pretend it no longer hurts, but I appreciate the apology." She replied with a single sentence, "I understand." On Thanksgiving morning, I woke at 5:30 with the certainty that I had forgotten to thaw something. For several seconds, I lay in the dark preparing to calculate turkey weight. Then I remembered there was no turkey in my house. At 10, I made coffee. At 11, I changed clothes twice. At 11:30, I considered baking an emergency pie and stopped myself. Nora picked me up carrying 2 pies and wearing the cat slippers. "You're not wearing those inside their home. My formal shoes are in the car. You said that at the wedding." And it was true then. Adam opened the apartment door before we knocked. He wore an apron that said, "Kiss the cook," though no one appeared eager to obey. The apartment smelled like rosemary, hot butter, and something burning near the floor. "Happy Thanksgiving," he said. He hugged Nora first, perhaps because she was holding pies. Then he hugged me. It was brief and careful. "I didn't bring anything," I said. "I see that. Your email was forceful." That was Paige. Of course it was. Paige came from the kitchen with flour on one cheek. "You came. You invited me. I know. Hello." She hugged me before either of us decided whether that was appropriate. Her body was stiff against mine. Mine was not much better. Colleen and Paige's father were already there. Aunt Denise arrived with Brent, bringing the total to 8. Franklin and Judith had chosen to spend the day with friends, though Judith sent bread because she did not trust people who photographed food. The rust-colored rug had been placed beneath the dining table. "It looks orange in this light," I told Nora. "I heard that," Paige said from the kitchen. The apartment was too small for guests who wanted to be helpful and hosts who had forbidden help. Nora sat on the sofa in her cat slippers. Denise rearranged cocktail napkins until Paige rearranged them back. Colleen opened the oven twice and was asked to stop. Adam carried out the turkey. One side was dark brown. The other had the pale, surprised look of someone woken too early. "It's resting," he announced. "From what?" Nora asked. Paige laughed. "We fit around the table by placing Brent at the corner and Aunt Denise near the bookcase. My place card sat to Adam's right. I noticed. I wished I had not. The meal was imperfect in ordinary ways. The potatoes had cooled. The gravy developed a skin. The turkey was better than it looked, though Nora said that was unfair to the turkey. For almost half an hour, everyone behaved. Then Colleen raised her glass. "I just want to say how grateful I am that this family can move beyond misunderstandings." Paige's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Colleen continued, "Weddings are emotional. People make choices under stress, and sometimes small things become bigger than—" "It wasn't a misunderstanding," Adam said. The table went still. Colleen lowered her glass. "I'm not blaming anyone. You're making it sound like Mom got confused. I said everyone was emotional. I knew she was being kept out," he said. "I didn't tell her. Then I asked her to give us the Bible anyway. No one looked at me. That was almost kind." Colleen's face tightened. "This is hardly the time. You brought it up. I was offering grace." "To whom?" Paige put down her fork. "I gave the instruction," she said. Adam went along with it. Ruth did not cause what happened. Aunt Denise stared into her potatoes. Paige's father reached for his water. Brent, possibly the wisest person at the table, continued eating. Colleen looked at her daughter. "We discussed keeping family matters private." "You discussed it," Paige said. "I listened. I am trying to protect you. That's how I got into this." The silence afterward was not triumphant. It was dense and awkward and full of cooling food. Nora lifted the gravy boat. "Brent? Please." Conversation restarted in damaged little pieces. Denise asked Paige's father about work. Nora told a story about losing a shoe in an elevator. Nobody applauded Adam. Nobody congratulated Paige for honesty. They simply had to remain at the table with what had been said. That was the cost. After dessert, I carried 2 plates toward the kitchen. Paige took them from my hands. "You don't have to do that. I'm already standing. You were invited to eat, not work." The words caught me unexpectedly. I let go of the plates. At the door, Adam handed me my coat. "Can I call you Tuesday?" "You don't need an appointment." "I know, I'm trying not to assume. Tuesday is fine." Nora was halfway down the hall when he said, "Mom." I turned. "I didn't say that at dinner so you'd forgive me." "I know. I said it because it was true." "I know that too." He nodded. Then he closed the door carefully behind us, and this time I did not feel shut out. Nora waited until we reached the elevator before speaking. "Well," she said, "that was the most honest turkey I've ever eaten. The turkey didn't do anything." "Exactly. It knew its limits." She pressed the button 3 times. "That doesn't make it come faster. It gives me purpose." The elevator doors opened, revealing Colleen and Paige's father. For one suspended second, all 4 of us considered pretending we had forgotten something upstairs. Colleen stepped out first. "Leaving already?" she asked. "We've been dismissed from kitchen duty," Nora said. "No one was dismissed. Reassigned then." Paige's father gave me an apologetic smile. He had spent most of dinner occupying as little space as a grown man could. I wondered whether his quiet had taught Paige to fear chaos or merely failed to protect her from it. Colleen drew on her gloves, 1 finger at a time. "I hope you're satisfied," she said to me. Nora moved half a step forward. "I'm not discussing this in a hallway," I said. "I wasn't aware there were approved locations." "There are. This isn't one." I entered the elevator. Nora followed. As the doors closed, she called, "Happy Thanksgiving." That was unnecessary, I told her. It was a holiday greeting. You made it sound like a threat. I contain multitudes. Tuesday evening, Adam called at 7:10. "I'm late," he said. "For what?" "I said I'd call Tuesday." "You did call Tuesday. I meant earlier. I wasn't waiting beside the phone. I was sitting beside the phone." He told me the Thanksgiving leftovers had become an argument because Paige believed turkey should be discarded after 4 days, and Adam considered that wasteful. "Your father once ate chili that had been in the refrigerator for 9 days, I said. "What happened?" "Nothing." "So he was right." "No, he was lucky. Same outcome." In the background, Paige said, "Ask her about the ornaments." Adam lowered his voice. "Paige wants our ornaments." "Your ornaments?" "The ones from when I was growing up. You have ornaments at your apartment. We have silver balls. That sounds festive. They're not sentimental." I looked toward the stairs. The old ornaments were in the attic inside a cardboard box labeled "Christmas Fragile" in Samuel's handwriting. Every year, Adam had removed them from my tree and complained I was putting the wrong hook on the wooden train. Every January, he had left them for me to pack. "You can come choose which ones you want," I said. "We can? They're yours too." A pause. "Can we come Saturday?" "Yes." "What time?" It was a small question, an ordinary question, the kind he used to replace with the sound of his key in the front door. 2. They arrived at 1:56 and knocked. Paige carried a plastic storage container with a locking lid. "I brought something to put them in," she said. "You don't trust my box?" "I don't trust cardboard from 1993. It has survived longer than several marriages." Adam took off his coat. "Where are they?" "In the attic." "I'll get them." "You don't know where they are. It's an attic. You once lost a suitcase in there. It was behind the insulation. It was beside the stairs." He went up while Paige and I waited in the hall. A crash sounded overhead. "I'm fine," he called. "We didn't ask," Paige called back. She smiled at me. Their marriage was still bruised. I could see it in the way they checked each other's reactions before speaking. But the old partnership had returned in pieces. They could tease again. They could stand in the same room without making the air choose sides. Adam came down carrying the box in front of his face. "Move," he said. "You could have used the handles," I told him. "It doesn't have handles." Then your father anticipated the problem. We opened the box on the living room floor. At the top lay a nest of yellowed tissue paper and a string of lights thick enough to power a small airport. Beneath them were 40 years of poor taste. A glitter-covered pine cone shed on Paige's trousers. "What is this?" she asked. "Your husband made it." "I was 8. You signed the bottom." She turned it over. Adam appeared in blue marker, followed by 3 backward letters and what looked like a threat. "I had limited space," he said. Paige placed it in her plastic container. "You don't have to take that one," I told her. "It's the first one going on the tree." Adam found the wooden train and held it by the red ribbon. "Mom always hangs this too high, because you made it from 6 pieces of metal and 1 nail. It's wood. The nail isn't." Paige took it from him. 1 wheel had been glued on crooked. Did Samuel help? "Dad believed help weakened character," Adam said. "Your father spent an hour sanding that after you went to bed." Adam looked at me. He said he never touched it. He also replaced the nail. I knew that nail was too straight. We sorted the ornaments into 3 groups: theirs, mine, and objects. No one could identify, but everyone felt guilty discarding. Paige wanted the pine cone, the train, 2 glass birds, and a small brass bell. Samuel had rung every Christmas morning until Nora threatened to hide it. Adam reached for the bell, then stopped. "You should keep this. I don't need it. You like it? I tolerated it. Dad bought it for you. He bought it to wake you. Same thing." I picked up the bell. Its handle was cold and smooth from years of hands. "You take it this year," I said. "If I miss it, I'll steal it back." Paige placed it carefully beside the wooden train. At the bottom of the box, Adam found a silver picture frame containing a photograph of the three of us in front of a Christmas tree. He was grown, perhaps 22, wearing a shirt Samuel hated. My hair was still dark. Samuel held one hand above my head as though measuring me. "I don't remember this," Adam said. "I do. Your father had just told Nora the tree was artificial. It was artificial. Nora had cut it down herself." Paige examined the photograph. "You all look happy. We were arguing about the tree. You still look happy. That happens sometimes." She looked at me, and I understood the question beneath the comment. A family could be happy and still fail one another. A marriage could contain joy without being safe in every moment. A photograph did not prove either thing. "You can have the frame," I said. Adam shook his head. "That stays here." For once, he did not add an explanation. We packed the chosen ornaments into Paige's container. She labeled the lid Mercer Christmas in block letters. Adam saw it and raised an eyebrow. "You're a Mercer now? I have paperwork. So does the rug." She snapped the lid shut. Before leaving, Adam carried the old cardboard box back to the attic. Paige wandered toward the study while I folded tissue paper from the floor. She stopped in the doorway. The Bible had returned to its shelf. "You put it back," she said. "Yes. Did you write us in?" "No." She nodded, then entered the room. "May I see it?" The question made me look up. I set the tissue paper aside, took the Bible down, and placed it on the desk. Paige stood beside me but did not touch it. The leather had darkened at the corners. A faint ring marked the cover where my grandmother once set down a cup of tea and denied it for the rest of her life. I opened to the family record. Paige leaned closer. "Your mother wrote this?" "Yes." "And your grandmother?" The first 2 pages. She read the little notes beside each entry. "Snow before dawn. Train delayed 7 hours. Blue dress. Borrowed shoes." She smiled. "These aren't very formal. No one knew they were supposed to be." She found my marriage to Samuel. "Clear skies after rain," she read. It poured until an hour before the ceremony. My mother insisted the weather changed because she prayed. Did you believe her? No. She prayed about my hair, too. Paige laughed quietly. Her finger hovered over the blank space beneath the last marriage. "Adam thinks you're waiting to see whether we deserve to be in here." "I know. Are you?" "No." "Then why not write it?" I considered giving her the answer I had given Adam. "Not because you demand it." The words were still true, but they were no longer complete. "Because both of you treated this book as proof," I said. At the wedding, it was supposed to prove Samuel was present. Afterward, Adam wanted the entry to prove I accepted your marriage. The Bible has become a way to get around having the relationship. Paige looked at the page. "I did want it for the photographs. You said it mattered to Adam. It did. But I also thought it would look meaningful. At least you're honest." "I'm trying." Adam came into the room behind us. His gaze went immediately to the open Bible. "What are you doing?" "Looking," Paige said. He glanced at me. She asked. His shoulders relaxed. Paige closed the Bible and turned it toward me. "Don't write it because I asked," she said. "I wasn't going to." "I know." She touched the leather cover once, lightly. "When you do write it, I want to be here, if that's all right." Adam stared at her. "You want to watch my mother write our marriage into a book? I want to know what she writes beside it. I hadn't planned to write anything. You wrote weather for everybody else. My mother wrote weather. Then you need your own category. I put the Bible back on the shelf. No promises." At the front door, Adam picked up the ornament container. Paige put on her coat. "Are you doing Christmas dinner?" Adam asked. The old assumption brushed against the question, but it did not settle there. "I haven't decided. We could go to Paige's parents." Paige's expression said otherwise. "Or," he continued, "we could come here if you invite us." Nora had already asked what I wanted to do. For years, I had planned Christmas around feeding the largest available number of people. No one had ever asked whether I wanted them. "I'd like to have dinner here," I said. "Small. You two, Nora, and me." Paige looked surprised. "What should we bring?" "Potatoes." "I make good potatoes." Adam said, "She makes organized potatoes. They cook evenly. They taste like compliance. Then you make them." "I'll bring wine." "You always bring wine," I said. "I'm not Franklin. Bring bread too." Christmas dinner began at 5 because I said 5, not whenever people drifted in. Nora brought a pie she had not made and admitted it before anyone praised her. Adam brought wine and bread. Paige brought potatoes in a dish that seemed to have been measured against the oven. No one asked me to rearrange the seating. We ate at the kitchen table instead of the dining room because 4 people did not need ceremony. Adam carved the roast. Paige poured wine. Nora rang an ordinary spoon against her glass and announced she had nothing to say. After dinner, I stood to clear the plates. Adam took mine. "You cooked," he said. So sit down. I don't know how. We'll tell you if you're doing it wrong." He and Paige handled the dishes. Not perfectly. Adam put a wooden spoon in the dishwasher, and Paige corrected him with unnecessary alarm. Nora and I sat at the table listening to them argue about detergent. When they finished, Adam came into the hall carrying his coat. The top drawer was slightly open. The old key glinted inside. He saw it. I saw him see it. He pushed the drawer closed. "I don't need that yet," he said. "Why not?" "Because I'm getting better at knocking." He kissed my cheek. The answer was not dramatic. It did not erase a gate, an empty chair, or a phone call through glass. But after they left, I went upstairs without checking whether the drawer was still closed. The new year did not begin with a revelation. Adam still knocked. Paige still organized casual visits 3 days in advance. I still checked the hall drawer occasionally to make sure the key was there, though I told myself I was looking for stamps. We developed habits that did not resemble the old ones. Adam called on Tuesday evenings more often than not. Sometimes we spoke for 10 minutes, sometimes 40. He told me about work, the storage unit, and the neighbor who kept leaving grocery carts near his parking space. I told him about Nora's ongoing feud with the management company in her building and the jar of capers still unopened in my pantry. He did not ask what I was making on Sundays. Once, after a long pause, he said, "I miss pot roast. You know where grocery stores are. Paige doesn't eat beef. Then you married away from pot roast." I understood there would be sacrifices. I didn't know the scale. I invited them for dinner the next Sunday. The distinction mattered. So did the fact that he waited. Other Sundays belonged to other people. Judith hosted twice and discovered Franklin had been keeping a better roasting pan since their divorce. Nora held another lasagna dinner and added salt with such violence that the dish became nearly inedible. Mr. and Mrs. Alvarez invited me next door for enchiladas, and I stayed until 10 discussing a television show none of us admitted to liking. Without my kitchen serving as the automatic center, the family did not disappear. It became less efficient. People had to call one another. Franklin began inviting Adam to lunch. Judith started meeting Paige for coffee after they discovered a shared hatred of scented candles. Nora and Brent attended a home show together, though she insisted it was not a date because roofing had been discussed. I learned that closeness could survive inconvenience. I also learned that resentment was patient. It waited in small moments. One Saturday in early spring, a board in the repaired fence tilted away from the post. I sent Adam a photograph. He called within 5 minutes. "I'll fix it tomorrow. You don't have to." "I know." He arrived at 10:30 carrying a tool bag and coffee. "You said 9, I told him. He checked his phone. I said morning. "You said, I'll be there around 9. "Around. An hour and a half is not around. It's a separate location." He handed me one of the coffees. "The hardware store didn't open until 10. It opens at 8. The one near me opens at 10. You passed 2 on the way here." I wanted a specific bracket. I looked into the tool bag. "There is no bracket." They didn't have it. "So you're late because you went to a closed store for a bracket you don't have." When you say it that way, it sounds inefficient. It was inefficient. His smile faded. I came, didn't I? The sentence changed the morning. I set the coffee on the back step. Yes. You don't have to sound surprised every time I show up. I wasn't surprised. You were waiting by the fence. I live here. With the broken board removed and the screws lined up. I prepared. You expected me not to come, so you prepared to do it yourself. I should be able to do it myself. That isn't the point. He placed the tool bag on the grass. What is the point? I asked. The point is, I was late. Yes. I didn't ban you from my life. I didn't say you did. You looked at me like the wedding was happening again. I turned toward the fence. The new board leaned against the post. I had measured it twice and cut it at the hardware store because Samuel's saw intimidated me. Not everything I do wrong is that gate, Adam said. I know. Do you? Yes. You asked me to prove things by what I do. Then every ordinary mistake becomes evidence. That is not fair. It's exactly what you said to Paige. Fear doesn't give you the right to decide who someone is. I looked at him. He had not raised his voice. He had learned that from me, perhaps in more ways than either of us wanted. I waited for you, I said. I should have called. You should have. My phone was in the car while I was inside the store. I lost track of time. That sounds familiar, because I'm still the same person. The words struck harder than an excuse would have. He rubbed a hand across his forehead. I'm trying, Mom, but I'm still going to be late sometimes. I'm still going to avoid conversations too long and say something wrong because I want everybody to stop being angry. If you need me to become Dad before you trust me, this is not going to work. Your father was often late. That is not how you talk about him. I am beginning to notice. He glanced at the fence. What do you want me to do? Stop asking me that every time we disagree. What should I ask? Whether I want the coffee you brought, do you? It's probably cold. It was cold when I bought it. Why? I ordered iced coffee. I picked up the cup. I don't like iced coffee. You drank it all summer. That was tea. He stared at the cup in my hand, then began laughing. I tried not to. You bought me the wrong drink, I said. I have failed again. This is serious. I'll call the coordinator. That did it. I laughed, then felt guilty for laughing. Adam must have seen it because his face softened. It's okay, he said. No, it isn't. I meant the joke. I know. We fixed the fence together. The specific bracket proved unnecessary. Adam held the board while I drove the screws, which was the opposite of how we had done it the previous spring. Straight, he said. It is straight. It's leaning. That's the old post. Dad would replace the whole section. Your father would spend 3 weeks researching wood. He'd tell us pressure-treated lumber was a moral issue. He believed cedar built character. When we finished, the board sat slightly higher than the others. Adam stepped back. Looks familiar. Family tradition. We drank the wrong coffee on the back step. After a while, he said, I don't want the Bible right now. I looked at him. I still want it someday, he continued, but I don't want you to think every call is about getting it. I don't. You did. Yes. He pulled a loose thread from his work glove. Paige doesn't want you to write the marriage until you're ready. She told me. That was a strange conversation. It was a good one. You two have those now? Occasionally. That's worrying. Why? You both know things about me. I raised you. The advantage existed before Paige. He smiled. The Bible remained on the shelf through spring. I took it down once to record the death of my mother's cousin Elaine, who had reached 93 and remained annoyed about it. Her nephew sent me the date. Beside her name, I wrote, loved lemon drops and strong opinions. It was the first note I had added to the family record since Samuel died. My hand shook slightly as I wrote it. When I finished, the blank space beneath the marriages no longer seemed accusing. It was simply unwritten. Paige began visiting without Adam, though never unannounced. She came one afternoon to learn Samuel's coffee cake recipe. I thought it was yours, she said. It was his. I inherited the pan and the criticism. What criticism? He said I mixed the batter too long. Did you? Yes. She measured the cinnamon with the seriousness of a laboratory technician. You can use more than that, I said. The recipe says 1 tablespoon. Samuel lied. Why would he lie in a recipe? He used a soup spoon. That is not a measurement. It was to him. The first cake came out dry. You mixed the batter too long, I told her. She pointed the wooden spoon at me. I followed your instructions. That was your mistake. We made another. During the second cake, her phone rang. Colleen's name appeared on the screen. Paige looked at it, then answered. Hi, Mom. I moved toward the sink to give her privacy. No, Paige said. I'm at Ruth's. A pause. Because I wanted to be. Another pause. I'm not discussing the wedding again. Her shoulders were tense, but her voice remained steady. No. Being honest about what I did is not humiliating me. Pretending it didn't happen would be. I rinsed a bowl that was already clean. I'll call you tomorrow, she said. Not today. She ended the call and set the phone face down. Sorry, you don't have to apologize for your mother calling. She still thinks you turned everyone against me. I don't have that kind of energy. Paige smiled faintly. She says I'm choosing you. You're not. I know. You are choosing not to let her decide what happened. That feels like choosing. Sometimes it is. She looked at the cake through the oven door. I understand Adam better now. That could be dangerous. I used to think avoiding conflict meant he was calm. Now I see how much panic there is underneath it. He learned some of that from me. You don't avoid conflict. I avoided asking for what I wanted. Then I resented people for not knowing. Paige leaned against the counter. What did you want from the wedding? I considered the question. To be wanted there, I said. Not honored, not seated in a particular row, not thanked in a speech. Wanted. She nodded. I'm sorry. This time, I said, I know. Summer settled into a rhythm that did not require much discussion. Adam called. Paige visited. I invited them when I wanted company and said no when I did not. They invited me to their apartment twice. The rust rug remained beneath the table, though the pineapple lamp had moved to a closet after Adam claimed it watched him sleep. The old family dinners returned only occasionally. When I hosted, Franklin brought wine, Judith brought bread, and Nora arrived early enough to help but late enough to deny it. People took turns washing dishes. No one called it a new system. That would have frightened them. Near the end of August, an envelope arrived addressed to Adam at my house. For years, I would have opened the front door with his key in my hand, set the envelope on the hall table, and waited for his next visit. Instead, I texted him a photograph. Mail came here for you. Would you like me to forward it, or will you pick it up? He answered. Forward, please. Thanks. No assumption, no emergency, no emotion at all. I smiled at an envelope from an insurance company. The wedding anniversary approached without anyone mentioning it until Paige called 9 days beforehand. We're going away for the weekend, she said. Just 2 nights. That sounds nice. Our anniversary is Monday, so we'll be home Sunday. I waited, unsure why she was telling me. Adam thinks you might not want to hear about it. Why? Because of what the date means. The date meant the wedding. It also meant the gate, the live stream card, the empty stand, and my husband's Bible against my chest, but it no longer belonged only to the worst part. You're allowed to celebrate your marriage, I said. I know. She sounded relieved. After we hung up, I went into Samuel's study. The Bible waited on the shelf. I took it down and opened to the marriage record. The blank space remained beneath the others. For almost a year, I had told myself I was waiting to trust Adam. Somewhere along the way, he had stopped asking me to prove that I did. I closed the book and called him. Are you free for supper Sunday when you get back? There was a pause. Both of us? Yes, both of you. What's the occasion? I'd like to see you. That's all. That's enough. He laughed softly. Okay. On Sunday afternoon, I set the kitchen table for 3. Then I changed my mind and moved us into the dining room, not because the moment needed ceremony, but because the table had more space. I placed the Bible on the sideboard. At 6, 3 measured knocks sounded at the front door. I opened the door. Adam stood on the porch holding a bottle of wine and a paper bag. Paige stood beside him, with a square baking pan covered in foil. "We brought dessert," she said. "What is it?" "Coffee cake. You took a risk. Samuel's recipe. Then you took several." She looked nervous enough that I stepped aside before inspecting the cake. They entered. Adam set the wine on the hall table, directly over the drawer containing his key. He did not seem to notice. "We could have come later," he said. "You should have told us you were making a whole dinner. I invited you for supper. What did you expect?" "Soup. You don't drive back from an anniversary trip for soup." "We would." "For good soup," Paige added. "Then you would have been disappointed." They took off their coats. Paige saw the Bible before Adam did. Her gaze moved from the sideboard to me, then away. She carried the coffee cake into the kitchen without asking why it was there. Adam noticed it while opening the wine. His hand stopped on the corkscrew. "Is that?" "Yes." He waited. When I did not say more, he returned to the bottle. The 3 of us sat around the dining room table. I had made roast chicken, green beans, and potatoes that were less organized than Paige's. She praised them anyway. "How was the trip?" I asked. "Good," Adam said. "Mostly good," Paige corrected. He looked at her. "It was good. You refused to ask for directions." The road ended at the hotel, after circling the same fountain 3 times. The first 2 times were scenic. It was a concrete dolphin. I thought Mom didn't want every detail. I asked how the trip was. "Then it was good," Adam said, "with a dolphin." They had gone to a small town near the coast. Paige described the hotel, a restaurant with 6 tables and a boardwalk where the wind had turned her umbrella inside out. Adam took out his phone. I got a picture. The photograph showed Paige gripping the broken umbrella with both hands. Her hair covered half her face, and behind her Adam's reflection appeared in a shop window, laughing while he took the picture. "You look happy," I said. "I was threatening him," Paige replied. "Also happy. Those things coexist." I handed the phone back. On the wedding day, I had imagined their happiness as a room built by removing me. For months afterward, part of me had treated every sign of their joy as proof that my pain had been unnecessary to them. The photograph did not feel that way. They had a life together. It was not a verdict on mine. Adam put the phone face down beside his plate. "We almost didn't go," he said. "Why?" He glanced at Paige. "Because of the date." "You mean because of me?" "Because of everything." Paige folded her napkin in half, then opened it again. "We didn't know whether celebrating would feel like pretending," she said. "Pretending what?" "That the day was only good. No one ate for a moment. The chicken cooled on our plates." "Your wedding day can be good for you," I said. "It wasn't good for you," Adam replied. "No. That doesn't bother you?" "Of course it bothers me. I mean us celebrating it." I considered the question. Would not celebrating change what happened? No. Then it would only make my pain responsible for another decision. Paige looked down. "I kept thinking about the gate yesterday," she said. "Not all weekend, just yesterday morning." "I thought about it too," Adam said. "You don't have to report that to me." "I'm not reporting it." "Then why are you telling me?" He leaned back. "Because I still don't know how to talk about the wedding without it sounding like I'm asking you to excuse what happened. You don't need my permission to remember your marriage beginning. Then what do I need your permission for?" "Nothing." The answer seemed to unsettle him. For years, Adam had treated my care as unconditional permission. Then, after the wedding, he had treated my boundaries as a series of hidden tests. The idea that he could live without waiting for either approval or punishment was still new. Paige reached for her water. "I wish we had a different memory of you that day," she said. "So do I. I thought about asking if you wanted to do something, not a ceremony, just dinner or photographs. I don't." She nodded quickly. I'm not trying to recreate it. I know. I wanted you to know I thought about it. Thank you. Adam looked at the Bible again. Is that why you invited us? Partly. He glanced at Paige. She did not look surprised. Are you going to write it? He asked. Yes. The words settled over the table. Adam's face changed first. Relief came into it, followed so quickly by caution that the two expressions nearly canceled each other. Paige placed both palms flat beside her plate. Tonight, if that's all right. She gave a small, disbelieving laugh. You're asking us? It's your marriage. Adam looked at me. You said it was your Bible. It is. So what changed? A great deal. That isn't an answer, it's the one I have. I had spent days trying to name the precise moment when I became ready. There was no moment. It was not Thanksgiving, when Adam told the truth in front of the family. It was not Christmas, when he closed the key drawer. It was not the fence, the wrong coffee, Paige's letter, or the second coffee cake she had learned not to overmix. Trust had returned the way the family dinners returned, less efficiently than before, with everyone carrying a small part. I stood and took the Bible from the sideboard. Adam moved his plate to make room. I laid the book on the table between us. The cover caught slightly on the tablecloth. The same cracked leather I had held against my chest at the estate now rested beneath the dining room light. For a second, I saw the security guard's face again. The envelope. Adam behind the glass. Memory did not disappear because something better happened afterward. It simply stopped being the only thing in the room. I opened to the marriage record. Paige leaned closer but kept her hands in her lap. Do you have a pen? Adam asked. I have several. You usually use the black one. I know. I was only asking. He's nervous, Paige said. I'm sitting here. We can both see you. I went to Samuel's desk and brought back the fountain pen my mother had used for the last entries she made. It had dried out twice over the years, and the cap no longer matched the barrel, but the ink flowed cleanly after I tested it on a scrap of paper. When I returned, Adam had not touched the book. Tell me your full name, I said to Paige. She blinked. You know my name. Tell me anyway. Paige Elizabeth Ward Mercer. Ward 2? I kept it legally. Adam said, the invitations only said Mercer. The invitations had limited space. They were the size of menus. Are you recording the marriage or cross-examining the bride? Paige asked. I lowered the pen to the page. The first stroke looked too dark. I paused, then continued. Adam James Mercer and Paige Elizabeth Ward Mercer. My handwriting had changed with age. The letters were narrower now, more careful than the ones I had used to record Adam's birth. I wrote the wedding date beneath their names. At the side of the entry, I left a small space. Paige noticed. What are you going to write? I haven't decided. You said everyone gets a detail. Not everyone. Your cousin Elaine got lemon drops. She earned them. Adam looked at Paige. What happened at the wedding besides the obvious? The arch leaned, she said. The florist fixed it. It still leaned. The cake had almond filling, Adam offered. Your mother doesn't need to preserve cake filling for future generations. What do you suggest? Paige thought. White flowers. That isn't much of a story. It was a wedding, Adam. We had white flowers. You hated the first flowers. I disliked the shade. They were white. They were cream. I looked down at the page and wrote, white flowers. The arch leaned. Paige read it and smiled. That's accurate. It also sounds like our marriage, Adam said. No, she told him. Our marriage is the concrete dolphin. I capped the pen. Neither of them moved. The new entry occupied 5 lines. It did not bless them. It did not absolve them. It did not turn the wedding into the day it should have been. It said their marriage had happened and their names belonged among the others. Adam reached toward the page. His hand stopped above the Bible. Can I? The question was quiet. I nodded. He rested 2 fingers near his name. For months, he had wanted the Bible because he believed possession would prove that he still belonged to the family. Now he touched it, as though belonging did not require taking it away. Paige placed her hand beside his. "Thank you," she said. "You don't have to thank me for recording a fact. It isn't only a fact." "No." Adam looked through the earlier entries. "Did Grandma write my birth?" "Your father did." "That's Dad's handwriting?" "Yes." He traced the line without touching the ink. 6 pounds, 11 ounces. Rain all morning. He read. "Why did he put the weather?" "Your father always remembered weather. I was born indoors. He went outside eventually." Paige leaned over the page. He didn't write anything sentimental. He was worried sentimental words might become legally binding. Adam turned to the next page. The records carried ordinary lives in cramped handwriting. Weddings, illnesses, migrations, arguments disguised as weather. Beside my grandmother's marriage was the note train, delayed 7 hours. She had told that story at every holiday as if the railroad had personally objected to the union. Adam found the entry for Samuel's death. Only the date followed his name. "You never added anything," he said. "No. Do you want to?" "I don't know." Paige looked at me. "You wrote something for Elaine. Elaine was easier. Most people were easier after death. Samuel remained complicated because I had known him in too many rooms. Devoted father, silent husband, man who ate dangerous chili, man who sanded a wooden train and denied it. There was no margin wide enough." Adam turned back to the marriage page. "What happens to the Bible now?" "It goes back on the shelf." "I meant eventually." "I know." He waited. "I'm keeping it," I said. His fingers stilled. "All right, no argument. No reference to promises, no accusation that I was withholding part of his father. Someday," I added, "we'll decide." His eyes lifted. It is a family Bible." A small smile moved across his face. "Someday," he said. Paige closed the cover carefully. I carried the dishes into the kitchen. This time, neither of them ordered me to sit. Adam followed with the glasses, and Paige brought the serving bowl. We worked around one another in the narrow space. Adam put the wooden spoon beside the dishwasher instead of inside it. "You can wash that by hand," Paige told him. "I know, you were leaving it. I was soaking it." "There's no water in the sink. I was preparing to soak it." I handed him the dishcloth. Their coffee cake was on the counter. We cut it into 3 uneven pieces. The center was slightly underdone. "It needed 5 more minutes," I said. Paige tasted it. "You told me 40. Every oven is different. Samuel's recipe says 40. Samuel's oven ran hot. This is information you could have shared. You have to develop instinct. I have a timer." Adam took another bite. "I like it." "You eat 9-day chili," Paige said. "Your opinion has no standards." We carried the cake and coffee back to the dining room. The Bible remained on the table. Adam opened it again, more slowly this time. He turned beyond the family record to the pages where Samuel had made small pencil marks beside passages he wanted to remember. Some were underlined. Others had question marks, which was the most honest form of faith Samuel ever practiced. Paige pulled her chair closer. "What did he mark?" she asked. Adam began reading the notes, stopping to ask me what his father had meant. Sometimes I knew. Sometimes I guessed. Sometimes I told him I had no idea. Outside, evening settled over the repaired fence and the garage, with room to walk through it. In the hall, the spare key stayed inside the drawer. Nothing had returned to the way it was. When Adam reached for the next page, he looked at me first. I nodded, and he turned it.